just setting out notifications. There we go. I really need to make a checklist one day, but that's too much work. Welcome everyone to the first edition of the PokeGoons Podcast. I'm here with two of my great friends, Jamie and Tom, and today we're going to be talking about lots of different stuff with Pokemon. Our main discussion point is going to be about what are the version differences, because I think that's going to be a huge factor leading into the game. And then we'll also be discussing new stuff with we'll be discussing some leaks later on. I'll put a spoiler warning, everything like that in there. With that, before we get on with our topics, Jamie, thank you for coming on today. How you doing today, buddy?
Good to be here.
Good to...
It's really good. I'm so excited to be able to talk about Scarlet and Violet with people who are actually still interested in Pokemon.
It's hard. It's so weird because it's the most popular franchise of all time. It still has plenty of fans, but then you go on the internet and it's just like and people just punching and kicking each other in the face. Like, dear God.
But what fandom isn't like that anyway?
Yeah, like it's. I think you're gonna find this a good comparison since we've both been involved in those communities. It really reminds me of the comic book community.
Yeah, I think it might be the only thing that is as bad as comic book and comic book movie discussion.
Yes.
And that's really saying something.
It's just like everything sucks. That's the takeaway from online discussion.
Fandom suck. Some of the people don't.
Yes.
And we wouldn't be here without either of these communities, so...
Absolutely.
Good thing we did have them.
Absolutely. And Tom, are you still looking for headphones, buddy? Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little low, yeah.
Quite quiet.
Gotcha. Alright. Well, how are you doing today, Tom? You doing alright? Gotcha. Alright, let's see. Alright, so we'll start off with our main topic of the games that we really wanted to get in. Well, I really wanted to get into, because if you've seen the two trailers of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there's two very interesting things that, because of everything else, I think they've kind of been lost in the shuffle, is the version differences. I think this is going to be the first set of games that truly use the version differences to its fullest, because in the debut trailer we had exclusive outfits, which was never done before, and when that was shown and revealed, everybody kind of took that as, oh, that's cool, not a big deal. But then in the June 1st trailer, we had, which was the huge kind of thing that we've never seen before in a mainline Pokemon game, exclusive professors. And the other thing about it is they are themed very differently. One is more looks in the past, savage looking. The other looks more futuristic, a little gaudy. Like, so there seems to be some really big, I think, major differences that we could get with the game. If you look into the past, we've had exclusive gym leader, obviously exclusive Pokemon, stuff like that. We've never had, and even already just starting off, we're on a different level of exclusivity between the two games. So I'll start with you, Jamie. What was the first thing that went through your head when you started noticing these patterns of version differences between the two games?
I mean, you mentioned the whole, how in the first trailer there was the two different outfits, but it's also the fact that we saw the two different schools, the school with the orange in it and the school with the grapes, even before we got to the actual gameplay during the live action sequence. And I think that's what got my mind running first, because it was sort of a, wait a minute, these are two separate things, yet they're clearly from the same area. It's not like in past games where I think the only time I can think of a big area of difference version exclusive was the black and white games with Occupied City and the Black City or White Forest, where they were black and black one, white the other. So that was really fascinating to me because it suddenly got my gears going. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Are we having small school differences, or are there something bigger going on? And then, as you mentioned, the two professors come in. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with that. I do have a few theories that I might discuss later about what I think they're doing with the professors, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a huge talking point. And like, so Tom, did you have the similar vibes when you started noticing what they're doing with the version differences in this game? Did it take you a minute? Like, what was running through your head with it? Hello? Tom? Oh, is he still grabbing headphones?
Maybe.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll text him and then we'll keep plugging through.
We can.
Yeah,
just
it's still really low.
Use my regular old.
Yep, that's much better.
Yeah, we can hear you there.
Alright, I'm gonna lower y'all so that there's no echo. Anyway,
Gotcha.
when they first announced the the games, my big thing was trying to figure out what the region was based on. And then just seeing how different it could be. And it's so different. Like, usually we get, like, the version exclusive Pokemon. I really like that in Sword and Shield. We got exclusive gym leaders.
Yeah, I hear, like, it's interesting. And the thing is, too, is not only with, it's funny you bring up the gym leaders, because, and before I say this, I don't want anybody to think I'm getting my hopes up too high, especially because of recent events. But before the leaks that came out recently, I really thought for the first time ever, we were going to get 8 sets of gym leaders for each game. I don't know about y'all.
I was really hoping for that.
Yeah,
That would have been nuts.
I really thought we were going that, because I really think the selling point is, and I think they're doing it for 2 reasons. I think one is we've said it before in our own private chats. Game Freak is the most predictable yet unpredictable game developer of all time. They'll stick to classic stuff, but they change things up. I mean, Sword and Shield is the first game that never had an Elite Four. Like, that's still, like, it's easy to think of stuff like that as not a big deal now, but I remember first playing it, I was like, holy shit. It
was shocking.
Yes.
Like,
And then obviously no gym leaders.
And no Elite Four as well, actually, if you think about it, because the league was still being formed, so...
Yeah, just like a lot of people like to argue it's the game with no champion.
Yeah, there is actually nothing properly set up in the Alola games, so it's like, they completely changed the formula there, and everybody has their own feelings on that. But Game Freak's been showing us, and the Pokemon Company in general, they're starting to be willing to do bigger and bigger things, while keeping things still close to the original formula, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I think they're using these version differences to test how okay people are going to be with it. Because there is some risk to it. As much as I am very glad that they are doing it, you could have a lot of people that if the games are too different, you might end up getting a thing where people return games, swap them out for other ones, stuff like that. So there is a little bit of a risk to it. But I think they're doing it for that. And I also think they're doing it as a way to... I think Scarlet and Violet is clearly taking a lot from Legends Arceus, but I don't think we're going to see a complete 180 shift from the traditional formula that Legends Arceus is in the main games till Gen 10. And I think one way to make people feel like they're still innovating in this one, instead of going backwards, is the version differences. Because these games were put together side by side. I could see the main Pokemon dev team, as the games were being developed, being like, we're going to take stuff from that game, but we don't know how that game's going to be received. People forget a lot of devs can be superstitious. A lot of people forget that most Japanese devs thought the Nintendo Switch was going to fail. So they
because obviously everything went wrong before that.
Yeah.
So,
and they thought doubling down on handheld hybrid was a bad idea. That's why, if you, like, not to go too much off topic, but a lot of people don't know that, like, one of the reasons why it took a long time for the main Nintendo Switch games, like the franchises, to be established on the Switch was because a lot of them were like, I'm not risking our next game on this thing. And it's easy for us to be like, what morons. But I can get it. Back then, I probably would have been scared too. I remember being hesitant on the Switch. I don't know about you guys. Yeah.
I mean, I was just thinking about the Switch reveal and, like, the original reveal back in, like, October 2016, I think it was, the other day, because it's my 5-year anniversary having Switch this past week. And I was like, God, that's been so long. And I couldn't imagine without the Switch now. But then I thought, but I was terrified when the Switch was actually announced, because it looked like it could be another Wii U.
Yeah. And it's an expensive console to be carrying with you.
Yeah, and it wasn't until Iwata was revealed to be having worked on that for the final part of his life that finally made me go, oh, this might actually be something we need to actually pay attention to properly. And obviously now, Pokemon, I can't imagine it not on the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, even going back to the Pokemon games on, like, 3DS and stuff, it just feels so weird.
Yeah.
Because, like, I want to be able to put it on my TV, maybe better graphics, but...
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Tom, because I can't go back. Like, every once in a while, I'll play handheld. I just don't like taking my Switch out. I'm too afraid of dropping it. But yeah, I can't go... I don't think I could go back to only handheld. Because, like, I could not imagine doing those raid battles on 3DS for Sword and Shield.
Oh, God, yeah, no. The raid battles would have been horrendous on the 3DS.
Because you could tell with Sun and Moon, Z moves were taxing the 3DS. Like,
I would say Sun and Moon in general was, like, that game, and especially Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, my 3DS, but my current one was a newer model, could barely keep it going.
Yeah, mine got hot quite a few times while playing the game. I actually got scared. Like, dear God. But, going back to our main point, I'll throw it to you, Tom. So, we all kind of established that we all first noticed these version differences right off the bat and everything like that. So, Tom, what are some of the things you're expecting going forward to see more of the version differences? And obviously, we've all, I'll just do the warning now for anybody listening and all that stuff. And for this future video, this is where we're going to be talking leaks. Leaks are going to get mentioned through here because it's very hard to talk about this stuff with us all knowing the leaks. So if you don't want to be spoiled on leaks, just, I guess, watch this in November when it comes out.
Just wait a couple months.
Yeah.
But
just wait until the trailers reveal it.
Yeah. So, what are you expecting more for version differences, Tom? Like, do you think this will be the most version difference heavy game ever in the franchise?
Oh, absolutely. Like, considering right off the bat with the last trailer, we got, like, clearly it's past versus future. And so, right off the bat, there's so many things they could do. Like, potential rumored alternate forms for Pokemon based on the past and future, like what they could become or what they were, those being exclusive to the specific games, like that.
Yes.
Oh, exclusive alternate forms, exclusive Pokemon in general. I really hope we get exclusive gym leaders again because those were. It's so cool to see that.
That one I'm kind of iffy on happening actually now that we have the leaks. Because it does seem to be there's just a set standard of 8 gym leaders. But
Maybe a different gym, champion based on which game you get.
I could see them pulling a black and white. This is what I think if we're going to see exclusive champions or gym leaders or Elite Four, any of those formats, I think
it'll be this game.
Well, I think it'll be what they did in black and white, where Draydon and Iris had the same exact team, just gender swap, and it was different characters. I could see them going back to that, which I think would disappoint some people, but at the same time, I kind of get it, because like we were saying before the show started, we were talking about how, every Pokemon game's a give and take. They're going to innovate in one point, and then not necessarily go backwards, but they might not do something as much as we want. Other one. I could see them being that thing where, like, you'll get exclusive, leaders or Elite Four, champion, whatever, but they'll have the same team no matter what game. And you know what? I'm not upset about that.
Yeah, I think we need to look at it from a game dev point of view as well. The Pokemon Company is under a tight schedule, so if they have to cut corners like that and make it so that it's different leaders but the same Pokemon and things like that, then if that means they can get things done on time to a good quality, I'd rather have that than nothing.
100%. Plus, too, these characters are going to go viral regardless of what their team is. Like, it happens every Pokemon game. Freaking Piers went viral after Sword and Shield, and I don't think anybody remembers half of his team.
No. Yeah, Piers, Marnie, they all just blew up, but nobody remembers their teams. Same with Diantha and Gen 6. As a champion, she blew up. Other than her main, I couldn't think of the rest of her team.
That's how it always is, especially because now that's really what they heavily get into now with the characters, is like you have your partner. They've really pushed the partner Pokemon thing in the last 5 years. Like, it's crazy to think at a time they didn't really focus on that.
It really is, except when you look at the broader things, like the Ranger series, the anime, hell, even Mystery Dungeon, partners were like the big thing.
Yeah.
Ash and Pikachu, Cynthia and Garchomp, Dawn and Pidley. Then in the Ranger games, you had this partner Pokemon you got at the start. That was the only one you kept the whole way through. Yet the main games just took so long to catch on that, people actually like the fact that there's one main Pokemon that people associate and like with these characters.
I hope we get that with the champion. Like, their ace is very iconic. They're constantly seen with it. Kind of like Lance with Dragonite.
Or Leon in Sword and Shield.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Leon.
Look, Leon with Charizard.
Yeah, like, hey, they made his Charizard so close to him in that game that I got over his Charizard being his ace real quick. It stopped bothering me as soon as I started playing.
I was going to say, please don't make a Charizard again.
God, if it's another Charizard.
Well, I mean, if we just want to get into that, the leak so far states no starters besides the new ones. So this might be our first
non-Charizard game.
Yeah, because Sun and Moon, he didn't get a new form, but did he get a new? No, well, Sun and Moon, he didn't get the gimmick.
He didn't get a Z move, but he was also, I'm pretty sure, on Red's team. And Red returning in those games was such a big deal.
Yeah, and you gotta have look. We all get annoyed with the Charizard love, but let's also admit he's a fucking fire dragon.
There's a reason he's popular.
He's
along.
Cool
also, do you think 10-year-old me was gonna be like, no, the turtle's way cooler? Like, no, he's a dragon.
8-year-old me was like that when Heart Gold Soul Silver. I want the turtle.
Yeah.
Speaking on Charizard, real quick, you want to know something cursed I found out from the anime recently?
Oh
Like,
God.
in the
Oh
last
god, I
episode?
know what you're talking about.
G-Max Charizard doesn't have wings.
Yeah.
What? Oh
You know the
my
fire
God,
on his
that
back?
makes sense.
He doesn't have wings.
Yeah,
when they're
because in
out.
Sword and Shield, you never get that much of a shot of his back.
It's just the flame wings.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
But it's horrific.
It's so cursed to look at.
Because then it just looks like he has a dad bod. Because Charizard has that gut.
I mean, he's over 25 years old.
Well, it's because like when they started shifting, like everybody always talks about like chunky Pikachu to like skinny Pikachu. Nobody ever talks about nobody ever really talks about how like Charizard went from like decently lean to I feel like the more the games went, they got into like they gave Charizard a gut.
Yeah. And his arms got a bit more muscular as well, which was odd. It's like the fighting type fire starters, when they were redesigning the old fire starters, who weren't fighting types, they were like, make them buffer.
Yeah.
Or in Charizard's
Charizard just
case,
becomes a
give him a
bodybuilder.
gut.
And it's crazy too. Like I'm wondering too if the lack of starters, because I know Jamie, you were one of the first people to really make the black and white comparisons, with this feeling like a reboot of the series, which I agree to. I think it feels like a soft reboot of the franchise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they returned to the colors.
I'm wondering if the lack of starters really like. Are we finally going to get the return of big, beefy updates to the Pokedex with the amount of Pokemon we get? Because right now, that's one of the things from the leak that no one is sure of. Because I think they said half of the leak about the Pokedex I don't believe. The other half I could see, which is they say it's from 300 to 500 Pokemon total. I cannot see the 300. There's no way they're going to put less Pokemon in the game than Sword and
It won't be
Shield.
any less than Sword and Shield, yeah.
No.
That decision really backfired on Game Freak's
God.
things, so they need to have it to be about 450 plus.
Yeah, it has to be. You at least have to have 30 more than Sword and Shield.
Yeah, and it needs to be a lot of new ones too.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm getting at. Because especially too with the open world, you need to fill that open world up a lot. I'm excited. Pokemon's going open world. I am.
Same.
The thing is, and no one's really talked about it because no one wants to be a Debbie Downer, and I get it. The drawback to open worlds is you have to fill them. That's a tough task. We've all seen plenty of open world games where you're like, holy shit, it's big, and there's nothing to do.
Oh yeah, I have first-hand
you go
experience
first.
with this. I play a lot of D&D, and one of my campaigns, I made it an open world, and so randomly my players will go somewhere and be like, "Hey, what's here?" And I'm gonna be like, give me like 5 minutes."
Yeah,
I know that feeling as well. I
the
was in
thing
a campaign recently that was like that.
Go ahead, Jamie, finish.
So I was going to say, I know we're trying to avoid comparisons to other games here, but obviously one of the biggest open worlds recently was Breath of the Wild 5 years ago. But we also need to, and I know you're not the biggest fan of it, Steve, but the game
don't worry about
was impressed. It changed open worlds, but so many companies also took the wrong lesson from Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was an open world which was somewhat empty, but that was also the point in the game. Yet over the past 5 years since that, many open world games now are empty, and it's really telling. So I'm really hoping that Game Freak doesn't fall into the same traps as that.
I think it's a spot on comparison. Like you said, I may not be the biggest Breath of the Wild guy, but I'll always show the admiration that game deserves. It just didn't fit my taste. And I think to add to your point too, I think you look at a game like, have either of you played Ghost of Tsushima yet?
I haven't.
I have
No.
not.
So that is my favorite open world game of all time, and I think one of the reasons why is, to your point, Jamie. Part of Breath of the Wild's point is it's a bit empty at points because that's the way the game structurally works. What I think Ghost of Tsushima does better than any other open world game is that it's I don't want to say that it's empty because there is things to do, but unlike other open world games where people are like, I don't see another character around for like 2 minutes, I'm pissed, this world's empty. Ghost of Tsushima made the game look so beautiful and so many small things in your environment that while they didn't fill the game up, literally looking at the world itself is what's distracting you. I've had friends who played the game who didn't even do missions for like 40 to 50 minutes in the game. They just rode around in a horse looking at the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and this is the thing too about the open world in Scarlet and Violet, especially with the comparison you made with Breath of the Wild, Jamie, is most games that take inspiration from it also use the same aesthetic. Pokemon did it for Legends Arceus. This time they are not going for that. If anything, they are really doubling down on the city feel with Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to, and that's why I'm glad to know from the leaks their quests are coming back, like side quests. That needs to be a big focal point in the game.
Wow, I didn't. That's one leak I hadn't seen about a. Side quest coming back.
They leaked out.
I am really happy about that.
Yeah, they leaked out that there's no new Eevee evolution, but there is an Eevee-centric quest in the game, and it's like a long one, which makes sense to me too. And I believe that because unless I'm wrong, you two can correct me if I am. There wasn't an Eevee side quest in Legends Arceus, right?
No.
I don't actually think so. No.
And that's one of the few things I did notice about the side quest in Legends. Because when I was playing Legends, and I'm sure you guys did the same thing too, where in your head I'm like, you know which Pokemon are going to be the focus of a side quest. Like, it makes sense. I thought Eevee would have been a shoo-in. I really
Eevee's
thought.
a new mascot alongside Pikachu, so yeah, that would have been the easy one that I would have thought to have been a side quest, or even a small part of the main quest, seeing how Adaman and Erida, I don't know how you say her name, the Pearl clan leader, they both use evolutions on their team.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, because I was waiting for that to kind of wrap around.
Yeah.
Both
like, they both use, like, 2 each, and it's like, wait, there's no Eevee quest with either of them?
And we're not going to, like, talk about it or, like, say anything. Like, oh, yeah, the world's ending, so I guess that's more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I think back to the version exclusivity, I think that's how we could get, I think we're going to get version exclusive side quests. I'll actually be disappointed if we don't. I think that's one of the deal breakers for me.
Oh yeah, big time. We need, even just if it's only a few different side quests, just something to show that they've actually gone, oh, these are actual proper versions exclusives, like the biggest we've done so far. Here's an example, and then the DLC, they can go crazy like they did in Gen 8.
Oh, don't even talk. Trust me, I have thoughts on on what the DLC could be. Trust me, I've been thinking about that all day. With that, yeah, and I mean too, like, I like, obviously the legendaries are exclusive, but even the vehicle forms that are rumored for them, I wonder how vastly different. Because there's no way those vehicle forms can look similar to each other.
No way.
No.
Yeah, like, Koraidon looks like he's built to be a motorcycle, and Miraidon, when you don't notice the fact that it looks like a penis, it looks too much like a rocket ship. Oh, that made it worse. It
looks like a future take.
Sure. I didn't think it looked like a dick until somebody said pause the trailer at the exact time where you get a shot of it from behind, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Now you know two legendaries who you think look like dicks.
Tom, does Palkia not look like a dick?
Oh, it does. It 100% does.
See, look, I'm sorry. I really like. I know everybody hated Origin Form Palkia, but I liked it because I'm like, finally doesn't look like a penis.
I loved having a centaur in a game. Like,
I
why
thought
the
it
fuck
looked
was there
good.
not a centaur Pokemon
It
before?
was way better than Dialga's Origin Form.
Yes.
Oh god, yeah.
100%.
Origin Dialga looks like it's killing itself every time it coughs.
It literally looks like it's like screaming in pain without having the mouth open. I don't know how.
Constantly on its tiptoes.
Yeah. And I'm seeing that as somebody who's Dialga's like my third, fourth favorite proper legend. Origin Dialga sucks.
Yeah, I was actually really high on most of the designs in Legends Arceus. Like, I think almost 90% of them slap. That was one that did not do. It was like that. The new Genie is awful.
The genies are awful anyway, so.
But that was a new level. That was a new level. Because, like, I think I just don't like Pokemon with stuff wrapped around their neck. Because I don't like Greninja either.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that is very fair.
Like, everybody hates humanoid Pokemon. I think that's mine. I just don't... Maybe I hate scarves.
See, I don't hate humanoid Pokemon, but I feel like not every Pokemon needs to end up bipedal.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big problem. So many Pokemon in the past few generations have ended up bipedal, and it's becoming a bit worrying.
Yeah,
especially starters. Like,
yeah,
they used to be like beasts and monsters, kind of looking.
I
And now
wonder.
it's
I wonder if they
old.
feel like the starters have to be like iconic looking, and that it's hard to do that with. Because I look, as much as everybody has problem with bipedal Pokemon, and there's a lot of people that do. I know there's people like me who Pokemon that aren't bipedal, sometimes we get in our heads about how like that Pokemon functions in the world. Like, thank Christ Legends Arceus showed Gyarados flying. Because for years in my head, even though the anime and everything exists, for years in my head, I'm like, I don't understand how you would actually battle with a Gyarados. Does it just like slither? Does water come out of its ass so it can move around on land? Like, they never... And then if you watch the anime, they just put all water Pokemon in a battle where there's areas with water. You really don't get explanation there.
I mean, we've definitely seen Gyarados fight on land before, and it slithers like a snake.
yeah.
They've done that?
It's-
I've never seen that.
Gen 6 as well. It was when Lysander used them, it was always very close to the ground. And it was very snake-like, like Tom said.
I did not know that. But, I mean, I dropped off of the anime around Gen 4. So, this is a possibility. I just
Yeah.
messed off.
Gen 4 was when I stopped watching the anime properly as well, but I checked back in for the Kalos stuff, and yeah, no, it was weird how they did Gyarados and some of them in Gen 6.
Yeah, let's... Yeah.
This won't-
Go ahead, Tom.
This won't be visible on stream, but I'm sending you photographic evidence that Gyarados fights on land like a snake.
Oh my god.
I don't know if I want to see it. I feel like it's gonna be.
Oh.
I feel like it's gonna be. Hold on. All right. I feel like it's gonna
Actually-
haunt my dreams.
I remember seeing this in the Indigo League as well, when Misty sent out Gyarados on the land.
Yes.
It was on the ground as well. I had forgotten about that.
Oh.
This looks like it's from Sun and Moon.
That Sun and Moon, yeah, the art styles. Great for the Pokemon, not so great for the character human designs, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the anime is like a whole nother lengthy discussion. That is like a 4-hour conversation right there. Because that is just a maelstrom of opinions on that. I want to watch Journeys, or whatever the new one is called.
Journeys is great.
It's really good.
But
They improved the art style slightly, and it made the writing that started appearing in Sun and Moon just go flourished.
I thought people would have been really satisfied with it, and maybe I was just being naive. I thought it was going to stop a lot of the arguing And dear God, it did not.
I really hope that this ends with Ash not winning.
Or getting close.
Yeah, maybe in a draw. But I don't
Here's the
want
thing.
him to be in the Scarlet Violet anime.
Oh god, he can't be. We do need to finally put an end to
Yeah,
Ash. Have Go
I
be the
don't.
new lead. Gold's being very popular. He's being voiced by an amazing actor. Make him the head of Pokemon now.
Yeah, they put themselves in a pickle because you can't. I mean, technically you can, but you can't do another season of Ash trying to go for the Master League because, like,
They're in the Master League right now.
but also too, like, clearly the Pokemon Company does not like bringing back old characters often in the series. Like, they do it at times, but it's very sporadic and not very predictable. And
Oh yeah, hell, the Chronicles characters made cameos in the
Oh
latest.
yeah.
yeah,
No, a lot of them have been. Like, this Journeys is really an anniversary series of just going, this is the collective conclusion of basically everything we've done. Gary returned, Paul's returned, Iris returned as champion, which is great because she's so much better in Journeys than she used to be in the anime.
oh yeah.
Like,
Well,
she actually acts like
I mean,
the actual age her and Ash are.
I mean, I think to me, him winning the Master League isn't even the thing we need to see him do. I think what we really got to see him do, and I know he technically did it in Sun and Moon, but people like to debate about Ultra Beast. I think he's just got to catch a legendary, and then I think that's all you need for Ash.
I mean,
Like,
Go
yeah.
has caught legendaries.
Yeah, but that's
Did
what I'm
he?
saying. Yeah. Oh, Go has caught.
I know he's trying to catch Mew, but
Oh, Jamie, my sweet son child, you're about to have your
Oh,
mind
good.
blown.
I'm looking up on Survey.
Before we get back to Scarlet and Violet, because I want to have the honor of letting you know this. This man has caught a Suicune, he caught Eternatus, and he caught Reggie Electri.
Oh my god! Jesus Christ! Just make Go the new protagonist. He clearly has Ash's bullshit
Dude,
amazing catching
everybody-
ability.
No, everyone in this series is like catching a legendary Pokemon but Ash, because Gary caught Reggie Draco.
Oh, I can actually
Yes.
see that. It's Gary.
I get, but it's just like, why is Ash the one guy who's like, I don't know what's a legendary Pokemon?
They'll end it with him catching Ho-Ho. I'm calling it now.
That would be poetic as shit. That
Yeah,
would be
it has to be Ho-Ho.
so poetic. Either
'Cause
Ho-Ho or
Ooh, Ho-Oh would be good.
I could see Mewtwo.
But
Yeah,
also,
Mewtwo could work.
Ash didn't catch a legendary, but he did catch my boy Dracovish.
Ugh.
Which is about the same thing. It's
Exactly.
about the same thing. Understandable. That is, to me, that is the level of equivalent of a legendary Pokemon.
So stupid, I love him.
I love the fossils in Gen 8. I mean, I refuse to use any of them on my team, but I like knowing they exist.
Dracovish
I just
is
love it because
busted.
of how it ties to British history with dinosaur archaeology. It's just like, it fits so perfectly.
Yeah. Also, too, it's like the first. I mean, it's interesting to see that it took this many games for them to do. Yeah, what if we just mix and match the fossils? Like,
Yeah.
I would love to
Yeah,
see them go
like-
back to that.
Like, real quick, I'm a history nerd. Can I geek out about this for a sec?
Go ahead.
Okay, because those fossils were legitimately my favorite. Because I did a 25-page paper in college about something called the Bone Wars, in which these paleontologists were so desperate to find more than the other that they were doing stuff like putting the head of a dinosaur on its tail before publishing it, and then just getting destroyed by the other. Like, look at this idiot. He put its head on its tail.
That was mostly British and European museum guys that were doing that because they were so desperate to be the first to reveal a new dinosaur as well.
Oh no, 2 American paleontologists were
Oh,
also
God.
this stupid.
2 Americans. I
They,
thought you Americans were meant to be so much better at this sort of stuff. You have the Spinosaurus in your country.
I don't know about that. They had their competition was so bad they would like throw dynamite at each other's dig sites and pee on each other's samples.
Oh, God.
Hey, hatred will make you do a lot of things you thought you would never do. I know this from personal experience, okay?
Fucking
The whole movie The Prestige is based on 2 people just hating each other that much. It happens. It happens. I mean, speaking of hatred, so we didn't talk about rivals yet in the game, and a lot of the leaks make it seem like there will be multiple rivals. Are y'all feeling that concept coming back? Did you want to go back
I
to
am
one?
worried about multiple rivals. I think we got back to the really good level of 2, 3 in sort of Shield
Mm-hmm.
with Marina, Marina, what's her
Marnie.
name? Marnie, sorry.
Yeah.
Marnie, Hop, and Bede. We
Oh,
had a
fuck
really
Bede.
good balance with them because they also did the story development with them really well. But if they go back to Gen 6 levels of companions,
Oh, God,
Ugh,
please
the
don't.
worst set.
that will be worrying.
Worst set of, and especially like I
Oh.
agree with you because I will argue till I'm blue in the face. Hop is one of the best fucking rivals in the series because he
Exactly.
actually
Yes.
has a
Absolutely.
story arc and everything. I think all 3 of those rivals are good. I think the only one you can sort of criticize is Marnie because she doesn't get enough time. But even she has a story arc. Like,
Yup.
and we finally got the mean rival back. And not to go too much on a tangent, I think a lot of Pokemon fans need to do what Smash Bros. Fans finally accepted, where if you are into Smash Bros. At all, you'll know about how people kept saying there was rules to Smash Bros. If your character is a trophy or what was the fucking like a costume or anything like that,
Oh, yeah, the Mii costumes and all of that.
yeah, then it can't become an actual character.
Yeah.
That got proven time and again wrong. Sakurai literally said the only rule to Smash Bros. Is that it has to be a character that got famous through video games. That's it. I feel like Pokemon fans do that. We do that to ourselves too, because
Oh,
I've seen
absolutely.
I've seen a lot of people try to discount Bede as a rival, and it's like, oh well, he doesn't have one of the starters, and it's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, neither did some of the other ones. I can't remember which ones right now, but I remember there was somebody in the Gen 4 games, I think, at some point, who didn't have one of the starters. They're still considered a rival.
True, but also, don't forget, in the Isle of Armor DLC, we got even more rivals.
Exactly.
No, 100%. And plus,
Avery
too,
and what's her face?
I mean, and it's weird too because people always joked about how Gladion was the default rival, really, in Sun and Moon, and then for some reason, Bede doesn't work just because he doesn't have a star. It's just like when people are like, "Oh, there's no evil team in freaking Sword and Shield." It's like there is. It's the Marcos Corporation. It's not the traditional evil team. But like you have to stop looking at evil teams as it has to be team then a word. Like it's not that anymore. That concept died in Sun and Moon. Like it can be anything.
And not only that,
Okay.
but
Sun and
Pokemon
Moon
Company.
had the best evil team.
Say that one more time.
Sun and Moon had the best evil team, Team Skull.
I love Team Skull. I really do. And I think the Eighth Year Foundation was a great twist.
I enjoy them, but I wouldn't quite call them my favorites. But obviously, I'm
Oh,
Gen
yeah.
4, Gen 5, and Team Galactic and Plasma in my eyes are just mwah.
Oh, they are very good.
Yeah,
But,
I have to go Team Plasma. Just because
Like-
that was the first game where the evil team leader attempted murder.
Oh,
Actually,
God, yeah.
actually, like, I still remember playing that, and it's like, Zekrom, Thunderbolt. And I'm like, he's directing that towards my character. They cannot sit here and tell me he's just calling an attack. No.
No.
He is pointing at me. I can see his pixels. Like,
And it wasn't like once. He did it in both Black and White and then Black and White 2. That guy was just straight up evil.
It's like the leader of Team Plasma, Cyrus, Giovanni, the leader of the Eighth Year Foundation. Those are the 4 best evil team leaders in my mind.
My boy Archie.
So I'm gonna be honest with you, Tom. I'm so sorry. I am not a Team Magma or Aqua guy.
Oh,
I've softened up on Gen 3 in the latter years. I no longer think it's the worst mainline Pokemon game for me. But years and years of pent-up frustration over that game is hard to unlearn. If it makes you feel better, Gen 6 has taken that spot now.
Oh yeah, that's easily the worst.
Gen 6 is the worst. Even though Oras is amazing, what they did in X and Y really just dragged everything so far down. Like,
it was like I remember when it came out, I was so happy because I was glad Pokemon finally moved into the 3D era. And I do think there's positives to it.
Oh yeah, there's positives to every Pokemon games, even the ones people generally don't like.
That is one. I hate using this term, but unfortunately it works for this one. It is a game that does not age well. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
As soon as you finish the second gym, you basically speed run the entire game.
That's why it's the best game to do Nuzlocke with if you're new to Nuzlocking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, I've been doing it on Gen 5 and Gen 6 recently. I have sped through the X and Y. Yet in Black and White, I am like really struggling. And it's just so clear how much things changed.
And if I'm not a shiny hunter, so y'all can correct me on this, but I do believe people also say that's one of the best games to shiny hunt, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's because they've got the charm.
Yes.
Yeah, Arceus is the best one now, but before that it was Gen 6 games because they had the shiny charm, the radar from Gen 4, and something else. And it was the lower. That was the start of the lower rates.
Yeah,
so it was the perfect game for shiny hunting.
I remember I've always seen people try to say it had one of the better post games because of the shiny hunting, and I'm like, that's insanity.
That's an optional post thing. It's not an actual post game.
I think it's the worst post because I remember when I got it, I was like, dude, you catch Mewtwo and then Z-Guard, and then it's like, that's it. Like, I remember after you do that, it's like nothing. That was a game that, like, we talked about this in the pre-show, too, for anyone listening, where we were talking about, like, how only, like, 2 of the version exclusives really were great. Like, that would have been one where that version exclusive would have been amazing. I mean, the third version.
Yeah, we needed a Z for that generation just to deal with some of the issues, because obviously there was, in X and Y, there was also the Looker post story.
Yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed that. It just needed to be bigger and an actual post-game thing. Instead of what it was.
And you needed to be able to find that, like, you remember that part where, like, you have to talk to witnesses and stuff?
Yeah.
Finding them in that city was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, it was horrendous.
Didn't really help that the controls were garbage.
Yeah. It reminded me, if either of you played Assassin's Creed 1, there's a point in Assassin's Creed 1 where the game straight up stops telling you what to do to progress in the game. And you're just sitting there like, excuse me? That's that quest in X and Y. I remember just being so lost during those Looker missions. That's a game... That generation is... When they eventually do a Pokemon Legends Zygarde, that will be a game that's when Gen 6 will finally shine.
Yes. I think that's the big thing. I'm really looking forward to, if they're carrying on the Legends line, to see these European countries in the past. Because obviously, I'm from Europe, but I'm Scottish. And European history and culture goes back so far. And I think that's the one thing that's been lacking from Kalos, Galar, and even potentially this next one, depending on how it goes, is like the old buildings and the ruins. Like
Yes.
the fact that Unova had more ruins than Galar or Kalos is shocking.
And we needed more castles and stuff
Yes.
like that. Like,
Uh,
I think that's the only thing that was sort of disappointing about not having Elite Four in Sword and Shield was you could have done some really creative landmarks to do like the infrastructure for the Elite Four's area. And
There's
stuff
also the
like
fact that they only made Scotland as part of the DLC as well.
Yeah.
That's always something I want to be a bit miffed about.
Yeah, it's so tough because I love the Europe stuff. I do think I think Gen 10 absolutely cannot be set in Europe because
It can't. We've had so many in the past, 10
Europe-
years now?
Yeah, Europe and America are done. We need to let that go. The next one needs to either be, for me, these are the four that you have to choose from for Gen 10. China, Australia, Canada, and Brazil. I think those are your four.
I saw
Yeah, I
people
agree.
suggesting Brazil and India for a bit.
Though, yeah, that
Yeah.
would be really good. I remember when before the game got revealed, what were the things y'all were hearing on what the region was going to be? Because I remember everybody was saying it was going to be Brazil or Australia.
I remember India being the big one because of the elephant Pokemon and Sword and Shield.
Oh shit, you're
And
right.
Professor Lavington, Hawk, and Leon all being from that skin color. And I think it's mentioned that Professor Lavington comes from the same region as a Pokemon similar to Corporal Raja at some point, or something like that.
And fucking Zarude is a monkey from a species of monkey that derives in India, I believe.
And obviously, there was also the fact that until I think it was Legends Arceus, in the Pokedex for Raichu, it still talked about how it could take down an Indian elephant.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And I think that was getting people brains going that they had suddenly changed the Pokemon in that thing. And I was like, that was the big thing I was hearing before.
Maybe I've been smoking
games were
too much
announced.
weed. Maybe this is why I don't remember. I could have sworn I remember hearing Australia for the longest time.
I know Australia is a popular one, but I've never seen enough people give like evidence for it as well.
Yeah. Well, also
I think the
too,
most
I think this is the first game in a while that breaks the mythical hints at the next region thing.
That kind of sucked. I think the one hint we got that it could be Australia was like some painting in Sword and Shield, or no, the
Yeah.
globe. There was like a globe on someone's desk,
Yeah.
and was directly on where Australia would be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No,
Yeah,
I
I
remember
remember that now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since we're already on the topic, because I fucking love where this is going, we'll just throw it into here. We'll get back to Scarlet Violet eventually, but with Legends, the three of us never really got to do too much of like a deep dive talking about Legends with each other. So, what were y'all's thoughts and impressions on Legends?
Do you want to go first, Tom, or should I?
You can go.
I enjoyed the game, but unlike everybody else, I don't think I could actually call it my favorite. Like, there are quite a bit that I would still tweak to the game to improve it. Especially too with like side quests. A lot of them were like search quests, and that got very irritating very quickly. I found like took me a long time to actually complete Legend Arceus, surprisingly. So I think there was things that could definitely been tweaked, but I actually love all the regional variants, bar like maybe one this time, which I couldn't say for the previous sets of regional variants where it was very up and down. So
Sword and Shield's been the weakest out of the three games to have them.
Except it's also got Obstagoon, which is like Ah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it was a good game, but there's definitely some tweaks that could have been done to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like graphically, it could be better, to say the least. But I loved seeing all the Pokemon walking around. I really like the shiny hunting thing. These are my favorite alternate forms in the entire series, except maybe Alolan Sandshrew and Sandslash. But like Hisuian Zoroark, Hisuian Electrode, like I love that shit. Hisuian Decidueye, that's the word.
Oof.
Oh, the Hisuian starters were just amazing. Even like Samurott, who didn't really change much, that was like just such a nice little subtle change that
It
made
was
me
it was
you loved her
so
Samurott
it
double.
was so good that no one. Samurott is the one Pokemon where everyone's like, it needs to be bipedal, and that is, and it was surprised that no one got mad that it wasn't, because I really thought that was the whole point of it being in the game.
Yeah.
I think it was just that Game Freak wanted to do a small few tweaks after they realized, oh, we could have made this slightly cooler.
Yeah, you could tell they're still nervous about getting starters' new form. Because, like, Hisuian Decidueye, beautiful, beautiful Pokemon. Not
Made
too,
me like Decidueye.
Yeah, not too different from the original version, though. Like, color-wise, yes. But it does look like a Decidueye quite a bit. Like, so it wasn't too crazy. I'll say this, Jamie, as someone who does have it as their favorite Pokemon game of all time now, I actually think I'm more in line with you, though, just because I loved it and it's my favorite of all time. I absolutely don't think it works as a main series game, though.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. It definitely needs to now be its own separate
It needs to be
side
this.
thing.
It really needs to be that the main series is about your traditional battling, becoming a champion, gym badges, stuff, whatever. And this might be a little controversial to some people. I love Pokemon, I've been playing for years. Catching has never been a priority for me.
No.
No.
And as much as a lot of people were like, oh, Legends is the best game because it finally makes catching the most important thing, I would always argue for a lot of fans that is not the primary thing that they do when they play Pokemon.
No.
And
I mean, catching's not been the primary thing since Gen 1.
yeah,
Like, they lost the phrase, gotta catch them all. Like, Gen 3, Gen 4. So...
and plus I think too, Gotta Catch 'Em All was only ever the U.S. slogan. I think in Japan it was never that.
No.
Yeah.
It was a European, Western Asia, and
Yeah.
American slogan.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things like that I don't think work in the main series. Like I know some people are like they like that you don't switch out your Pokemon in battle and stuff, but I actually didn't like that. I always like being given the opportunity to be like, hey, do I want to throw another Pokemon in? Because I'm sure y'all do this too. Because I feel like everybody does this. I treat every battle against an NPC like it's an episode of the anime, and I'm like, oh, if that person has a Garchomp, I want my Garchomp to fight their Garchomp. Like that's the
Absolutely. Who doesn't?
yeah, like that's me. So getting that was rough. And the other thing about Legends that I think is the thing no one really talks about, and I think really only the hardcore Pokemon community does for it, is I think it's the game with the least amount of replayability, because after I beat it, I felt like that took so much out of me that I didn't touch the game for like 4 or 5 months.
Oh, huge agree. I finished it like a month ago, right before the new trailer came out. I was like, okay, I need to complete this. I haven't done the DLC, but once I got Arceus and started the quest for the mass outbreaks. I was like, I can't go back and do this. I'm happily going to replay a lot of old games. I'm replaying Platinum, Black and White 2, loving it. I cannot see myself going back to Legends Arceus, like you say.
I played BDSP more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. And I think it's better than BDSP by a long mile, but I think it's just that, like I said, getting to Arceus is a pain in the fucking ass. Like,
Oh, I still haven't done it.
I don't blame you,
Oh,
because
God. Yeah,
the only
no,
reason
it's
why
so long.
the only reason why I got it is because of a friend traded me the fossil Pokemon that I needed, because I accidentally knocked them out. And like, if they do another Legends game, bring back the time distortion thing, but you have to overhaul it. The spawning rate and all that shit for it, like, you literally just have to stand and wait for one to show up. It's a nightmare.
I hated trying to catch Sheldon.
Oh my god,
was
it's the worst.
Horrendous. And the fact that it only spawned in one area too, it was...
And that's what happened to me, Jay. I accidentally knocked mine out when it finally did spawn. Like,
yeah, that's what I did as well.
Yeah,
and
like, I do want the Legend series to continue, but I think it could be tweaked. And the main series,
it needs tweaks.
Yeah, and the main series should absolutely take as much as possible from it. But without
losing it's the core parts of it as well.
I think you need to take certain things and leave other things behind. Like, the main series needs to be a real hybrid between them, because there's just certain things that just don't work. Like, yeah, like, because even and the other thing too with the Legends series is I've also found that, like, a lot of the predictions for future Legends games, I think people kind of misinterpret what Legends games were, because I've already seen, like, people be like, oh, they can go back to Kanto and they'll do, like, Pokemon Legends, like Mewtwo and stuff and all that. And I'm like, the problem, I feel like the point of Legends, though, is to take, like, a legendary that hasn't really got, like, a spotlight in the games, really.
Yeah, it has to be mythicals. It can't be the actual legendaries themselves. It has to be Mew. It has to be Celebi, Jirachi.
Honestly, if they went back to Kanto to do a Legends game, I would actually... This would probably make people mad, because it would be like one of the first big retcons in Pokemon. I would make a new mythical for Kanto.
Meltang. He's already basically a Kanto mythical, seen as the first game you can appear in actual games is the Let's Go games.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one. Yeah, just make it that, because if you do Mewtwo, I guess you could finally get armored Mewtwo in a game that people want to play.
But at the same time, he was created by Giovanni. Everybody knows that lore. It was in the first film.
Yeah, you're
and that
right.
first film is
we need new lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Mew, I like Mew, but I don't think Mew would be that interesting.
No.
The best one I've seen is doing Celebi, so going to Johto, because Johto was already ancient as hell.
Well, you already got a story.
Do Legends Johto and have Kanto part of it and make Celebi.
Well, have y'all seen that fan-made trailer of Pokemon Legends Celebi?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I normally hate the phrase Nintendo hired this man. 9 out of 10 times I hate it. I would say... But
Nintendo hired this man.
At least buy his ideas. That's at that point, just be like, hey, can we just buy... Because the idea of... That's there's 2 bits of unknown Pokemon lore that we need. One is, what are the confirmed Pokemon that died to create Entei, Raikou, and Suicune? And you could absolutely add Celebi. And then Pokemon Legends... And I've always said... The next Legends game should be, when it comes time to do remakes for Gen 5 or whatever weird shit, if that's the formula they're going to go, that's the one where you make a brand new Pokemon, because Pokemon Legends, the fusion form of Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem, that Pokemon needs to be the cover.
Yes.
Ooh. Maybe Pokemon Legends Victini.
That I was thinking Legend Victini, but then also have Victini's plot tie into the original dragon.
Yeah, I could see that. Actually, you know what? I never thought of that, but that could work. But I
Especially if you have it about the two kings. Like,
but
Victini's the victory Pokemon.
I would really like the ballsy move of just being like, no, their fusion dragon form, like the actual original Pokemon, that's the cover, and this is how we debut it. Because I think, and plus two, I think that could be the first like Pokemon game where it's kind of like factions. Like you have to, because remember, there's two, because it was two brothers warring, right?
Yeah.
You could make it to where like, yo, you have to pick, and that's how you determine how your story goes. The only thing I could see there being a struggle, actually no, there wouldn't be a struggle because you could. I was gonna say the only thing that doesn't work is how do you catch the legendary at the end and that it doesn't split into three. But then you could just say you got Victini teleported. I know Victini doesn't have time travel, but whatever. We'll just make some bullshit up. Your character gets teleported to the past to prevent the dragon from being split.
Yeah, I can see that working, especially now that we've got multiple timelines, thanks to the Mega timeline and the original timeline. Explain what's going on in the Mega timeline with the Unova region. The dragon never split.
Yeah. Like, actually, what you could do, too, is he does, like, the dragon splits in the game, and then your end game is fusing them back together.
With the DNA splicer.
Yeah. And, like, the final boss battle is that when you fuse them together again, it's, like, enraged now because it has 3 different minds in it. And, like, ooh. I think that could work really well.
Oh, yeah, no, that sounds actually really good. I've had similar ideas of, like, the 2 raging factions in my head for a while.
Well, I remember you were the one who messaged me about it, where you were saying that's the perfect opportunity to finally do a Pokemon Muso game that we've all wanted. Do you remember that?
I think so. I mean, I have so many ideas about Pokemon in my head at like once, along with other things.
That was when when Legends first came out, and me and you started talking like in early impressions to each other about it. That was one of your ideas. Was like, if you do like one set in Univo, fuck it, just make it a Muso's Warrior game at that point.
I think I might have actually. Yeah, I think I said that actually. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because I've got my dream post game for a future Pokemon game. And I've also got my dream Legends game now. Because I think about these things. I'm like, oh god, this would be so great. And I think I did actually mention that, yeah, no, that would be good. Because it was around about the time I was playing Age of Calamity.
Yeah.
And I was like, this would just be so good.
Everybody's always wanted, like... Tom, are you into Muso games at all?
Not particularly.
I was going to say, because I feel like every Pokemon fan has been like, yeah, just give a Pokemon Muso game. I mean, the issue is that there's over 900 characters to pick from. As you can see, Unite is struggling with this every day.
I mean, if Fire Emblems can get a Muso game, I'm sure Pokemon can now.
Oh, yeah, they'll just pick whichever ones make the most sense, and they'll fucking give them all armor and shit, and then they'll call it a day. I mean, one of you just brought up Megas, so as a way to go back to Scarlet and Violet, and this ties into version differences, because obviously some will get the exclusive forms and stuff, but so have both of you read what the supposed gimmick is?
Yes.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? Because I've never seen a reaction like this when it comes to Pokemon before. From putting out my feelers, it feels like the community is on board with it, but still confused by it.
I think a big part of it is just the fact that the leaker is being so very... His English isn't the best when he's talking about it.
Yes.
Whether that's on purpose or not, it is providing a lot of confusion for the translations.
But even with that, I feel like even after the general idea kind of got like translated, it still I feel like it's a gimmick that everyone feels like they need to see to understand.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
that's
that's a
definitely
big
the thing.
issue.
Yeah, because like
Also, Crystal Onyx.
yeah,
Like, if this is true, it needs to be a Crystal Onyx. I think that'll sell a lot of people on it.
well, I like the idea of the new gimmick in general because for anybody who doesn't know, and again, if you don't want to know, this is your chance to dive out of here. But the new gimmicks rumoredly is that your Pokemon will get a crystallized form. Everyone will get it. Certain Pokemon will have like exclusive changes, kind of like Gigantamax was to Dynamax, and that the gimmick is that your Pokemon will get stabbed on moves that aren't their natural type, which is huge. Because I mean, if anyone's like me, who when they catch a Pokemon, they always give them 4 different types of moves. Because like I don't know about y'all, I hate having repeating type moves on my Pokemon most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to have at least 2 stab moves and then
Yeah.
different.
I always make sure they at least have one type of move to cover their weaknesses.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
same.
no, that's a necessity.
Yeah. So I think it's a good idea for a gimmick. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, it just sounds like Megas. I don't think so because I'm going to make a confession here. And I know this will maybe get some of my credibility taken away. I think after some time thinking about it, I think Megas are my least favorite gimmick.
Really?
And the only reason why is this. For me, I like gimmicks that I feel like vastly change the battles and make them more exciting. And looking back, I think Megas do it the least for me. Because with Dynamax, like, I call me a Sword and Shield shill or whatever. I love Gigantamax and Dynamax. The fact that they turn fucking kaiju and like changes up the battle every. I think that's a genuinely great concept. And you get form changes for some of them, and then Z moves. While a lot of people seem to like Z moves the least, I like them because I've always wanted Pokemon to do more cinematic-y attacks and stuff like that. And Cineroar's exclusive Z move is my favorite attack in all of Pokemon. Obvious reason why.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
There's a reason why he's my favorite.
I actually have to agree with you, Steve. During the early years of Sword and Shield, I really wasn't too big of a fan of Gigantamax and preferred Megas. And I won't call Megas my least favorite because they're not. Z moves mostly remain that, apart from a couple of them.
Understandable.
But I've been watching M&J TV a lot in the past year, and his opinions on Megas have really impacted on me because it's brought something that I think has always been at the back of my head. Megas were at their best when they made weak Pokemon strong, like Beedrill.
Yeah.
And Sableye. They went from being so weak to amazing Pokemon to use. Same with the Steel Fairy type with the claw on the back of their head. I don't remember. Mawile, that's it.
Yeah.
Those 3 got so much out of Megas. And they were some of the best because they used it so well. But then so many of Pokemon that didn't need it, Lucario, the Kanto starters, the Mewtwo, I will admit I do like the Hoenn starters, but even them, then some Garchomp, Salamence, Tyranitar. I like the forms, but they really didn't do anything for Megas.
And it's the most basic feature because
Yeah.
all it does is change the way they look, increase the stats, changes the type, which is cool, but I feel like it never really impacted battle the way the others did.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for the weak Pokemon, it did impact the battle because of how the change happened. But for those stronger ones, which made up so much of them by the end, that the feature as a whole just didn't make that much of an actual impact in battle.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also, I'll say
Different
this too, like, because that not every, like, what I liked about the other gimmicks, and I like that they're continuing this with the third one, with this newest one, is that every Pokemon can use a base form of the gimmick, because one thing I didn't like about Megas either in both games was, like, it pretty much made you not want to use Pokemon that didn't Mega Evolve, because it's like, yeah, I guess I can use my Delphox, but, like, she's really lame compared to Charizard. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and then the other thing too was, I'm not saying that Gigantamax had a perfect track record with forms, but again, at least every Pokemon got them and got to use them.
Yeah, there was Dynamax, and then there was Gigantic.
Some of these Mega Evolution designs were very miss. They were very hitter. Mega Slowbro is awful.
Oh god.
He looks so stupid. Granted, I
Yeah.
love that, but yeah, he looks fucking stupid.
There's Stupid, and then there's Stupid.
Yes.
And he falls into the second category.
He's one of those Pokemon, like I was talking about with Gyarados earlier, where I don't like it because I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't understand how you function.
I want to know who on the dev team designed Mega Lopunny. I just want to talk.
Oh god.
Oh yeah,
Definitely somebody who saw the waifu love for the Pokemon. Same with Gardevoir.
The rumor is this generation is maxing that out.
Oh god.
See, the worst part is, I recently did a Nuzlocke of BDSP, and Lopunny came in clutch, so I legitimately love that Pokemon now.
Yeah.
But I can't
Lopunny's
say
a
it because
great
everyone will
Pokemon.
think it's for the other reason.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
like
uncomfortable. I don't know how
Lo-
people still use Gardevoir on their team.
Yeah, I've actually had to start switching to using Gallade like 29 times, even though the fairy type on Gardevoir just makes it so much better than Gallade now.
Yeah.
I just can't use it 'cause it's like it's become, I want to say, the mascot of the waifu community.
It is.
I hate that I can actually say that, but it basically has, especially within the Pokemon part of that community.
Yeah. It really is, though.
The big three of that are Gardevoir, Lopunny, and Sarina from Gen 7.
Oh, yeah.
Drop kick.
I mean, like, not to sound gross about a child's video game franchise, I feel like they've tapped into the horniness of Pokemon fans.
Oh,
for the
they
last
definitely have.
couple years. Like, I agree with the preface, but even Sword and Shield, I remember people thirsting over Leon, thirsting over Raihan, and then my favorite gym leader of all time, even though I can't remember his name. No.
Kabu.
Kabu. I remember so many people being like, this is ultimate DILF energy, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. No, the amount of gym leaders that people were thirsting over in Gen 8 was ridiculous, because there was Kabu, Ryan, then there was Nessa. She was getting extremely as well.
A lot of other problems.
Yeah. What's the professor's daughter who becomes the new professor? Professor.
Oh, Sonia.
Yeah, Sonia. Her and Nessa basically became a duo pair.
Yeah. And
it got so out of control.
The fighting gym leader, the one that doesn't wear shoes.
Oh, B.
That's a child.
But didn't stop people.
Same with Alistair, the ghost gym leader.
Yeah.
Like,
it was
worrying.
On a positive note to it, I will say, Sword and Shield, I think, is actually the best set of gym leaders of all time.
Oh, God, yeah. Like, definitely the best designed overall.
And they
apart from maybe the 7th one, which was the version exclusive ones, actually. They were a bit...
Yeah.
Ooh.
But I think it's we talked about overlooked appreciation of Sword and Shield. I think that's one of them where I think it's the first game in a long time that has made becoming a champion a big deal and make the gym leaders feel like a big deal.
love how
yeah.
specific ones had like their own gimmicks. Like Raihan was weather
Double battles and
based.
weather.
Fucking
Yes.
Opal, you had to answer her questions.
Yes.
Get stat
Yeah.
boosts.
I hope that comes back. I really
It needs
do.
to.
I honestly, I could give fuck all about the gyms being crazy dungeons or whatever. Like, I'm fine losing that. I would like it though, like you said, Tom, that they like go back to giving the gym leaders their own gimmicks in weird ways and stuff like that. That is so much more interesting.
I mean,
Actually,
I'll actually admit,
speaking-
I think Rhyhorn was the first gym leader I struggled against in a long, long time, just because
Yeah,
it was
rough.
such a big change to the format. Like, I think that's the first proper double battle where it's not been two individual trainers that you've gone against.
Yeah,
Mm.
but speaking of gym leaders, do we want to talk about some of the leaks for Scarlet and Violet?
Yes. Go
Yes.
ahead. Go ahead. What were you thinking?
So the gyms, supposedly you could do them in any order, but their teams and levels won't change. So it'll be like, to say the least, Breath of the Wild, where you could go and just fight Ganon right off the bat. You could go straight to the 8th gym.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this earlier today or yesterday, Steve, about this.
Yeah.
That was definitely something that had me worried when I heard about it.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Hey, Logan. Welcome to the
clearly
stream.
twice.
Thank you for coming through. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, me and Jamie talked about this, and I'm like, I agree with you, Jamie. I think it's something. I don't think it's anything that's gonna break the game, because I think it's one of those things we'll all eventually. Like, it's one of those things that if it does happen, I do wonder how long it will take the Pokemon community to get over it, because so many of the games, the community loves its challenges. I could
Yeah.
almost see it. I'm not justifying, because I agree with you, Jamie. I don't like that they're doing it that way, if it ends up that way. But I wonder if it is a thing where, like, eventually the community will embrace it. Because can you imagine the amount of beating the champion with the 8th gym leader with a team of Magikarps?
Yeah, no, I'm going to say this: the level of hate, if this will probably get, if it is true, because we do also need to remember, the leaker is playing an unfinished version of the game.
That was the other point I was going to bring up. Thank you.
We can't take everything with complete certainty right now.
Because they, not to go too off from that, but they also said that about, like, because the build they're playing has very little clothing options, but they even said, oh, but maybe it's just it isn't in the game yet that I'm playing.
Yeah, because for all we know, this build is actually about 5 months old, and they're much more ahead in the actual Game Freak office.
Oh yeah, because we still got like 6 months till
4 months.
Yeah, the game's not going to go gold until, like, mid-October.
October. Yeah, mid-October. Comes out in November, so we've still got 4 months, roughly, until this is out. I'm actually going to look up the exact date quickly.
I believe it's November 18th.
yeah.
Yeah, so, well then, 4 months and 3 days.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely, like, I agree with Jamie. I think it's a bad move. I've seen some people put it on the level of National Dex controversy. I highly disagree with that.
Yeah, it won't be that bad.
No, because I think
it might be this.
Yeah, with the open.
Yeah, you go
world,
ahead.
Oh, sorry. If I ever talk over any of y'all, just let me know. I have a bad habit of that.
I think so do I.
I mean, anytime you do, like, any of this podcast stuff, it's always the hardest thing to figure out. Because you're like, oh, I don't want to cut anybody off. But I also want this to be a natural conversation. And what is something people naturally do to each other?
Oh, God, yep.
Over.
Yeah.
Yeah, over and over and over.
Yeah.
I faced this a lot trying to do my own stuff.
Yeah, I remember I watched one of your D&D streams, and I could tell it was a great stream. It was a great podcast y'all do. But I do remember it's like hearing you try to moderate it. I'm like, I feel like Tom is trying so hard to make sure everything's lining up the way he wants, and it's always rough trying to do that.
Yeah, no, that's why I don't stream my D&D games. It's so horrendous just trying to keep things going without us all falling over each other. I don't know how you even managed to get up half of it done, Tom.
It wasn't a full stream. We were trying to make it like a discussion series where we talk about like a specific race each week or something. I've tried recording my D&D sessions. It's gone horrendously. I love my players. It doesn't help that they're all fucking stupid. I love them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess
why,
Critical Role has something special.
I mean, that's why too. Like, I'm not a big D&D person, but I like. I'm not huge into D&D, but I like watching people talk about it and play it. And I've noticed that that's my struggle into getting into a lot of D&D campaigns I see online. Is I give it to those Critical Role people. They learned how to make that into like an actual show.
I'm personally not a huge fan of Critical Role just because of the effect it's had on the community as a whole.
Understandable.
But I do get that, like recording it.
Yeah, and it's not just because they have money, because you can give plenty of money and it could still be bad. They just learned how to make it good. At least none of y'all are spontaneously getting married, causing Tom a headache. Oh, God. I didn't know Logan's stressing you out, Tom, in D&D.
Logan wasn't even the one that initiated it. It was another player whose intelligence is like an 8. So they were just like, oh, shit, wait, what, marriage?
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
That's the fun of D&D.
Back to the level scaling, though. I mean,
yes.
So the thing is that is one that I could see happening, though, because you got to expect there's going to be one game freak blunder in this game. There's going to be one thing they draw back on. But that one I'm struggling, though, because they say it's in any order. And it's like, I don't know, that's a tough one.
I hope they do kind of like in the Pokemon Origins anime, where based on how many badges you have, the team changes.
That's what everyone wants. That is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we discussed that earlier as well, Steve, how we're not probably going to get that fully, but there's definitely going to be a way that we can get that in small chunks by splitting the gyms into groups, having the groups have level grading that goes up to the right level, then moving on to the next group of gyms.
And I think it has to be in the game too, because your rival's going to be doing level scaling, and how are you gonna how is your rival gonna scale to the gym and stuff like that? That is the man. We're opening a can of worms here, because really thinking about how this open world is going to work is really going to be interesting. I mean, even just the story itself, because one of the newest leaks that came out was you're getting the legendaries apparently like in the beginning of the game. Probably not to be on your team, but as like vehicles and stuff, because apparently they're like the only ride Pokemon. And it's like, and it's just like, I'm so excited because I'm so confused on how that next trailer that we're gonna get has to at least be 6 to 7 minutes long.
It's going to be a presents. It has to be with how much they're going to have to reveal now.
I think if it's a presents, we get it in August then.
Yeah, I can see that. Because they'll want to save September for a Nintendo Direct as well.
Because if we were going to get a presents this month and they were going to drop a trailer this month, they would have not dropped the Pokemon Unite stuff in a tweet. That would have been there's 2 things they announced this month that would have been part of a presents. Would have been the Pokemon Unite 1-year anniversary content, and the fact that Ash Ketchum is going to be a character in Masters.
Fucking wild.
Yeah,
I still can't believe that.
Yeah,
we're halfway to my dream post game.
It's crazy to think it took 26 years for Ash to be in a game.
Actually, no, it is 25 years because of the anime celebrating its 25th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like so I'm very like I what? Oh, you didn't know that, Logan? So Logan apparently didn't know that Ash has never been in a game, or they're freaking out about how old Pokemon
Well,
is.
no big game anyway. He was in a couple Pokemon
He was
like
in Puzzle
Pinball
League and
and
shit. We don't
Puzzle League
count
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Those don't count enough, really.
He didn't interact with anyone that I whooped their ass in a
No.
game. I did not know. Yeah. Yeah, they've never. I mean, yeah, Ash has never appeared in it. Brock and Misty from day one, yeah, but nothing else.
Yeah.
I
I think the worst thing is I want Ash in a mainline game, like as a part of the post game. Like that is my dream post game.
Yeah.
But I want those connections to Misty, to Brock, to even Gary. I would introduce Gary as like a relative of Blue because I want those connections in there,
I think the best
and I just
way,
can't work out how it would happen.
I think your best way to do it is you do a Gen 10. There's a secret boss battle against another trainer. One of the use a bunch of older characters show up to like the venue you're gonna do this battle in, and they're all hyping up this trainer, talking about how long they've known him, losing to him, beating him, whatever, blah blah. Then you see it's Ash Ketchum walking out.
Yeah, I think that might be the only way to do it and do justice to the legacy of
Yeah.
everything.
And, like, I agree with you. I want the connection, but I think it would be hard in a post game to like show Ash talking to everyone. So I think the best thing you do is you get a couple characters from each gen, and they like cryptically talk about this guy. Like Lieutenant Surge would be perfect for Kanto. I know everyone would say like
God,
Gary and stuff like that, but you could have Surge being like, you know, I told the kid that, you know, if he didn't evolve his ace, he wasn't going to make it in this world. And he proves me wrong every step of the way. Like, that would be perfect.
Even more after Surge's appearance in the anime recently, just adds so much more to it as well. Yeah.
And it could be really good because before we get back to Scarlet and Violet, because I like where this discussion might go, since we're already talking about Gen 10 a little bit, do you think, and this is a big topic with Pokemon, do y'all think voice acting will finally happen in Gen 10?
Oof.
I think part of Pokemon's charm is that it doesn't have voice acting. Like
I agree.
Yeah.
Like they should do like in Black and White. They should have that opening cinematic, have it have beautiful music, voice acting, but then the rest of the game, it is very similar to how we usually get Pokemon.
I think that would be perfect, Tom, actually. Yeah.
I
Like,
agree
do
with that.
cinematic. Like I hate making these comparisons. Like Breath of the Wild, all of the cinematics will have voice acting, and then the rest of the game won't.
Well, also, too, I think that's a good comparison because I think you also have the chance of drawing criticism of people like me that I had, like people like me who had with Breath of the Wild's voice acting, where they hyped up the fact that Breath of the Wild had voice acting leading up to the game. Then you play that game and you're like, there is barely any voice acting in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like nobody would have pointed it out if they did. Like, no matter what anyone says, Nintendo was really hyping up the voice acting in Breath of the Wild. And
I hated it afterward, but I love the game. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, you can understand why Nintendo was hyping up for it, because people for years have been going, we want voice acting in the Nintendo games, even though some of the strongest parts of Nintendo games, Metroid, Zelda, and Pokemon, has been the lack of voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think Nintendo was like, you want it? Well, here it is. It's part of our biggest game yet.
And we're going to use it 25% of the time.
At the same time, the team behind the Zelda games, they didn't want it, really.
No.
I can easily tell that Aonuma was like, I guess, but I'm more interested in just making as good of a game as I can make.
It's something we're seeing with developers right now that is a struggle where a lot of the classic creators and even a lot of the people who are currently on our top are struggling with what the audience wants versus what they want to build. Because you look like with Final Fantasy 16 recently in the news, they were like they wanted to make a turn-based game for it, which I would have loved. But these
yeah.
but these damn children out there don't like my turn-based games. And so,
which is stupid because Pokemon is turn-based, and it's like all of that. It's
but it's kind of like this is the category I would put it. I would put it like games with no voice acting, silent protagonists, turn-based combat. It hurts me to say this, but stealth games, stuff like that. There's like these categories of things in games that for years thrive that you can't say it's a small contingent of people or people who are ignorant. It's a lot of people who see these certain things and are like, I don't know why is it still a thing in games. Which I can kind of get. If you haven't had an experience with those things that really blows you away, you know, like even me, I didn't really like turn-based besides Pokemon, but even Pokemon, I think Pokemon you always have to put as its own category. But like I didn't really love turn-based till I played Ni no Kuni 2 in 2018. Well, no, not Ni no Kuni 2. I'm sorry, because that wasn't turn-based. When I played Dragon Quest 11 in 2018.
Dragon Quest.
And that, like, not to over-exaggerate, that changed my video game life. Because when I bought it, I'm like, it's turn... Like, I got told that I could move around during the turn-based. I don't really like it. Then I started playing the game, and I'm like, I feel more tension with turn-based combat than I had in anything else. Like, it's insanity. So the voice acting thing is tough because I agree with both of you. I actually don't want voice acting in my Pokemon because I liked it when... Look, I love Pokemon. There's Pokemon stories modes that I like. But 9 out of 10 times, after 30 minutes, I pop my headphones in. I'm listening to music about selling drugs, and I'm having a great time. Like, that's what I do when I play Pokemon. I don't know if I want to follow along now.
Yeah, and I think I've got one final thing to say about the voice acting as well. I feel like it would take away a bit from the anime, because all these iconic voices for Pokemon characters come from the anime. Suddenly, if you make characters voiced in the main games, you're hearing those voices, not the anime voices. And the thing, both of them are so connected, it would just feel a bit disjointed and weird to have different voices between the games and the anime.
Also, too, can they even afford it? Because
I doubt it.
Not that they can't afford it, like they'll just increase the budget, but like the development time of the games are going to take longer now, and everybody knows they are not breaking that cycle.
They're not allowed to break that cycle. They've got so much outside of the games, which I feel like so many people always forget. The reason that cycle is so short is because they are now on a 3-year limit to have, for the anime, the toys, and all of that, to have new generation, new Pokemon, and all of that.
People don't want to accept this, but one of the reasons why they're always going to do this 3-year cycle, unless something happens, is because, if we're going to be honest here, the games are probably like number 3 or 4 biggest money makers for Pokemon. The merch alone is the highest. The TGC is number 1. Easily. Oh, yeah. I would say the anime at this point is 2, just because the right fees that they probably get from Netflix, the cable companies in Japan and in the States and everything, that's got to be a shit ton of money. And then, like, you hit it right on the head, Jamie. Pokemon merch sells. Every time I look up those button-up shirts that are terribly designed, they are, like, sold out most of the time.
Yeah. And then there's even the ugly ones. There's, like, this temptation of, I want one. Even though you're, like, in the back of their head, these things are ugly as all hell. There's just something about them. So
boring.
Honestly, the best Pokemon merch, as of recently, is their Sitting Cuties plush
Yes. I've got my Jolteon right next to me, and it's just like my
Yeah,
favorite.
you
It's,
bring up a
like,
good point,
great.
Tom, because those
They're-
plushies sell.
Just in general, the plushes, like, and they're starting to do more life-size ones. Like, they have
Yeah.
a life-size Joltik. There's a life-size Furret that's like 5'11".
They just announced like earlier today a life-size Celio.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw it. It's
Life, I
adorable.
believe.
I want it so much. I
Did
don't
it?
have the space for it.
Didn't the life-size Dragapult went viral last year or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I
There
think
was
I
a
heard
Goldfish.
there was the life-size Snorlax as well.
Oh,
Well, there's a
God.
shitload of Snorlax
Oh yeah, that's just straight up a
plushies.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
Snorlax
a-
is just profitable.
Yeah. So like the games are the least amount of like close to the least amount of like I would say probably Pokemon Go is even maybe still more profitable than the main games. It's hard because it doesn't have the same like hype that it has. So I don't know how much that game is earning now.
I would say that Pokemon Go's a couple years ago, yes, it was definitely earning more money. But Niantic was making so many problems over the past year and a half.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
lost so many players.
The momentum died within a year just because everybody said the same thing. Why can't I battle people? Where is trade? Because honestly, this is where, not to go too much tangent ago, they fucked up when they told us everything that would be coming to the game right away. If they had just said, hey, it's a simple, you walk around and catch Pokemon game, that I feel like there would have been less anger towards how long it took to implement everything else.
Oh, absolutely. But of course, they just had to have in that first trailer everything at once.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, it was
And
a bad
that
move.
really just, I think, knocked the game. Especially because didn't they show like Gen 2 and 3 Pokemon within that first trailer as well? And then when the game came out, it was like 75 out of the first 150.
I always remember that hype first trailer where it's like everyone in New York is trying to catch Mewtwo.
Oh god, yeah.
So good.
Which was a great trailer. I'll give them that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Was that
Oh my god,
good.
they sold the Pokemon Go with that trailer. The problem is they didn't follow up on the trailer.
Well, that seems to be the thing with all the Pokemon mobile games. Because, like, I remember Pokemon Masters. Everybody was into it when they revealed it. That was the one time I've ever seen a mobile game be, like, the last big surprise for a presentation. And people were like, you know what? I'm on board. But
I will actually say this about Masters. It has done a good job of maintaining itself for this long and keeping a good amount of popularity because it has brought in story arcs from the main game.
Yep.
Like,
I mean,
it's done so well
like,
for itself.
Because I know you know about this, Jamie, because I brought it up to you. So, Tom,
Yo,
have you seen the huge Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Masters connection for between the two
I have
games?
not. The most I've seen about Masters is the alternate like costumes for all the characters, which I fucking love.
So, I'm about to blow your mind. So,
Alright.
when Legends Arceus came, so I know you didn't finish Legends. You beat Volo though, right?
Oh yeah, I basically my only thing left to do is complete the Pokedex, catch Arceus.
So, what happens is when it leaked that Volo was going to use Giratina, a lot of people were like, "This is really cool." No one's mad, but a lot of people were like, "That's really weird though because he's supposed to be Cynthia's ancestor." And it's like, why is he using Giratina? Like, why wouldn't you give Garchomp like a new form or something? Even though not all the ancestors use, their present day people's Pokemon, but people thought that made more sense with Volo because he uses most of her team anyway.
Yeah, it's everybody but Garchomp he uses.
Yeah, so people were like really confused. Before Legends launch, they did a storyline where Cynthia like essentially like kind of goes bad, and her
Yes,
ace
I did
is
see that.
Giratina. Yeah, and I
That's
remember,
the outfit that destroyed like half of my friends who simped for Cynthia.
yeah, they basically like retconned the idea of Cynthia being like. I feel like before Legends, everybody was in like with the idea that Cynthia's like probably like the most noble champion, whatever. Now it's like, oh, so she has this dark side to her that none of us, and like clearly everyone in her family is very shady.
And it's the fact that Masters basically tied the connection between the original Diamond and Pearl games, or BDSP, to Legends Arceus, to then Platinum. Because with Masters, it kind of just like explains so many of the differences between Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and the storyline in Platinum. And it is just, Jesus Christ! Has Game Freak been sitting on this idea for the past 15 years or something?
I really thought, look, when they do want to get into lore stuff, I really think they can do it. It's just a matter if they want to. Because
and they should, though, because they are so good at it.
I started believing that theory for a long time, where everybody was like, Pokemon Legends Arceus is the world that Cyrus creates at the end of Diamond and Pearl. And I still think that's like potential you could go back to. Like, if anything,
definitely potential for
when the rumors was that this year's game was going to be Legends DLC, that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Arceus being like, hey, buddy, I know I ask a lot of you, but if you could do me like one more favor, could you just take care of this alternate dimension for me? Because, like, I remember even playing Legends, I'm like, I don't see where they're going to expand the game. Yeah, I mean, like,
they pretty much wrapped up basically everything in that main story.
Yeah. And then
apart from Adamant and Nidra.
Yeah, well, but you look at, like, Sword and Shield. You could see, even before DLC came out, you could see on the map of, like, okay, if there was going to be more areas, this is where it would be. But with Legends, you're like, you look at that map and you're like, yeah, there's literally not room for anything else.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do anything else. Yeah. So, I guess we're all agreeing no voice acting for Pokemon from all three of us. Because it sounds like we're all just old folks who are against it.
I would still say only in cutscenes. Otherwise, I'm good.
I'll be honest, I think it is going to happen. I just think
it just depends on how they do it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be one of those things of people might not be happy with what they wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like everybody wanted Pokemon following them back, and then they got it. And it took till Legends for it to work right.
I mean, it works in BDSP.
Yeah, but then again, that was Ilka working on it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Well, BDSP is such a weird... Because I don't know about you guys, I think unless remakes go away in favor of Legends, I think remakes are going to be outsourced projects from now on.
I think Ilka's going to be basically controlling the remakes now while Game Freak works on the main line in Legends.
Yeah, because I think...
It makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think Legends and a remake is going to be like a one... I don't know, because this is the thing. I always envisioned it as a 1-2 punch. Like, all right, we're going to do a remake of Black and White, and then we'll do Pokemon Legends Victini. We'll just say that to make it easy. But now I'm wondering, because they want a major game every year. That is the goal. If Legends, like, could they already be working on the current Legends game?
I think so. I think production would have started about a year ago at this point. As soon as they saw a somewhat positive reaction to that first trailer of Legends, they'll, like, kick-started production. And they'll... Because wasn't it announced recently that Ilka's, like, working even closer to Game Freak now?
Yeah.
Like, a few weeks ago.
I think I saw
so
something
there's
about that.
definitely something going on even more with Ilka and the main part of the series.
Because I think we can all agree 2023, we're not going to get a new game. DLC for Scarlet and Violet will be our game that year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was actually in the leaks that there's going to be a DLC.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that'll take the spot because they did that with Scarlet and Violet. I think the only difference... I think So do you guys think for Scarlet and Violet we're gonna get the 2 expansions or one big one again?
I think
hope
2.
it's 2 small ones again.
Yeah, I can see it being 2 because that really worked in the DLC's favor for Sword and Shield, having that June release and then having that autumn release.
The only thing that I
mean,
can... Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Considering the region is based on Spain, like at least the main country, I could see the DLC kind of going in a similar direction they did with Sword and Shield. Like you mentioned, one of the DLC was Scotland. One of the DLC could be based on like Portugal, or even go across the Mediterranean to like Morocco or something.
I'm currently thinking. Well, I'm actually thinking Portugal's going to be part of the main region. We've seen a couple hints that they've mixed Portugal and Spain together.
Okay.
Although I'm going to say this as a European, it's worried about me about how many Americans and their reactions have gone to this area, and it's like this area that I have never heard of before, and I know so much about Europe at this point because I live here. It's like, do you all just consider this area one place?
No, God, no. There's like so many different sectors.
Yeah.
Like, as an American, I know we don't know a lot, but I know at least some of us know that there's a difference between like Southern Europe, Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Eastern Europe for a while, so I learned that difference for firsthand. So I will say, I actually disagree with both of you, even though I think you have solid points. This is why, though. I think it will be one big expansion. I think it'll come out in the November, like, annual release time. The reason why is because there's one franchise that has been influencing Pokemon the most in the last couple years, and that is a strategy that they implement to great success, and it's personally made Nintendo a lot of money, and it's Monster
Hunter.
My fucking man. Already.
Sunbreak.
Sunbreak has done really good already.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I actually just thought of that.
Yeah.
You're actually right there. It could be.
And I could see, because if you make a big enough expansion, you can be like $30-$40. It adds, like, especially since there's no starters, and you could make the argument that because here's the thing, they could do what they did last time, where if you don't get the DLC, you can still get those Pokemon through home, like your one. Yeah. That way, it's not scummy paid-for content. But because, one of you mentioned, like, that Portugal will get, like, expanded in the expansion. I agree with that. Honestly, I could see it being a mini step into not like another region, but like it's like a mini region you're going to. Like what they were trying to do with the Isle of Armor. Because the Crown Tundra felt smaller to me than the Isle of Armor.
The past were a lot more small, like compressed, than the Crown Tundra.
And like I feel like with the Isle of Armor, they were shooting for what if we. I feel like it's a test from them, and this is just a conspiracy theory. I feel like they are testing a 2-region game again secretly. You cannot.
I hope so.
Yeah, you cannot tell me they have not thought about this before. I just feel like I get why they haven't done it since Sword and Shield. It's a big fucking thing to do. It's gonna take a lot. And
what?
Go ahead, Tom.
What if one of the DLCs could be to like a new section of Kalos, like southern France?
Oh, that would be really interesting.
That's the one. It's funny because we were all shitting on Gen 6 earlier, but
I think that's the thing. We shit on Gen 6, but we want more from Kalos.
And it's also the one that everyone referenced as the next second region because of Sword and Shield, because of this game, people bring up Kalos. Like, it's like every chance Kalos comes up as... Kalos is the new Kanto for being like a second region idea.
Just because they fucked up so much and people want to see this region succeed. I actually think, I can say this for basically every Pokemon fan, we don't want to see any region actually fail.
No.
Well, apart from maybe Kanto at this point, but that for obvious reasons now. So I think we've got to the point where we need Kalos to be redeemed.
Kanto had
and if that means an expansion to it that we can then later return to in Kalos remakes or the Legends, then that would be great.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think they're secretly testing it. And I think one of the ways to do it is, like, let's just do a big fucking expansion into, like... Because I feel like the thing that's messing them up for a second region in a game is the level scaling. Because since you... with Silver and Gold, you had to grind your levels. So unless you were a sociopath, Kanto was a challenge for most people.
Yeah.
The problem
and then once you get to Red, it was just crazy.
Yes. The problem is with these newer games, if you get to a second region, you might already be stronger than the champ of that region. And there is a chance that if they do a second region, that could be the first time that they're like level 100 everything trainer that's like part of the story. They could do that. I just feel like that's one of those things they hesitate on. And I understand it because I refuse to go back to the grinding days of Pokemon.
Yeah. I think we can all agree we can't go back to the grinding days. Although I do personally think we can maybe adjust the leveling scale.
They should bring it back that
we get lower XP a bit more as well, and turn off the XP share.
Yeah, they should bring that back.
Add a bit more of a grind, but not as much as there used to be.
Because my argument is always, the only time I disagree about the XP share stuff is just when people say, oh, it makes the games too easy. Because my thing is, grinding is not making a game difficult. I will always argue true difficulty in a game is that you actually have to learn the game. Regardless of how people feel about like Dark Souls and Elden Ring and stuff like that, those games are hard not because you have to grind, because you got to actually learn how to be good at the game. Pokemon, people don't want to admit this. No main Pokemon game is actually difficult. Gen 1 sorta is, but that's because it's a busted game.
Yeah, it's a busted game. But can I butt in there? You see, bring that up, but about like, Dark Souls and all that. But I want to actually bring up the recent remakes, because I think we all know that Ilka buffed up the Elite Four in Cynthia.
Yeah,
they had strategies, full IVs, so there was the XP share, and you could get through the gyms fairly easy. I will admit that.
Yeah.
But even then, it took forever to get through the Elite Four. Cynthia, that's fine. She's difficult anyway in old games. But the Elite Four were never that difficult.
Yeah, it was the first
and that was when you had to grind.
It was the first time that I felt somewhat challenged in them. The hard thing about making Pokemon difficult, like this is why I feel a difficulty mode doesn't really fix the problem with difficulty in Pokemon. Just because, and I'm not saying they shouldn't do it because people want it. I'm just one guy. I just don't think it really helps because, to me, the problem is Pokemon is a game you have to make the game difficult for yourself. Because if you really wanted to, you could just have no attachments to any Pokemon on your team and constantly switch to the right Pokemon that you need.
I can't do that. I can only
Same. I agree with you, Tom.
Like, Nuzlocke kill me when I have to say goodbye to a Pokemon because I get attached to them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, if difficulty modes were in Pokemon, Nuzlocke would have never been a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, I want to see, like, Nuzlocke modes actually just added into proper games so you're not having to do weird, things with it. I think that's a thing they could add.
Yeah, even though I'm not the biggest guy for difficulty modes in Pokemon, they should add something like it. People want it. The only thing that they should never add and they've said they'll never do it, and I think their reasoning is sound. I actually do agree they should never add multiple save files.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Especially on the Switch.
Oh.
Now
You don't
that we
need
can
it.
have multiple accounts on the Switch,
Yeah.
that works
it's
perfectly
just
fine.
Junichiro Masuda said it best. It's just like you take away the responsibility of your decisions when you have multiple save files. Which, obviously, anyone who is like, it's a fucking video game, I don't care, that is a valid way to look at it, because it is just a game.
Yeah.
But you look at, like, Legends Arceus. Even if you didn't look at leaks, you knew you were going to get all the starters, because that's the only way you can complete the Pokedex. So it did kind of take away which starter am I going to pick? Because in your head, you're like, at some point, I'm going to get one of these dudes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I think with multiple save files, you do lose that.
Yeah. I mean, like, in the past, until about, I think, Gen 6, I got both copies because, like, I want at least 2 out of the 3, and I want to go through this adventure twice with 2 different teams. And I think that's the correct way of doing it, because you are going through 2 adventures that are different. You can't just go, 3 save files, 3 starters, I'll trade them over.
Yep. We share the same brain cell, Jamie, because that is why I started buying 2 copies, because I started noticing that usually I'm always want the fire one, and then I pick like my absolute faves on that team. But then I started noticing as more games went on, I'm like, damn, I really want to use these. Like Sword and Shield was tough.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because I wanted to use so many of the Pokemon in the game, like oh my god, like the Dragonpult, Carparaja, Grimmsnarls. Yeah. What were you saying, Tom?
Phalanx.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is the first time I have ever thought about using a Pokemon that doesn't evolve, that's not a legendary or mythical. Normally, that I am against that. But I saw Phalanx and I was like, oh, this is such a creative design. Like,
And there's
Yeah.
so much. In Galar, they really took Pokemon designs and were like, all right, let's add as much history and culture
And personality.
as physically possible.
I think it's the best design generation. I really
yeah.
do.
100%.
Because I think the weakest thing you could say is maybe the starters. But even then, I feel like people have warmed up to them. Like, people got over Cinderace's hands really quick. Saba was disappointing, but I feel like most people have gotten over that. And Grookey...
I think it is because of the culture behind them.
Yeah.
They are very... I don't like that they're all bipedal. But other than... actually, even Grookey's evolution is very British.
Yeah.
Inteleon is literally James Bond.
Yeah.
It's the whole British spy idea.
Also, too, they
And
like you said, the personality in them, because, yeah, it sucks Grookey's Rillaboom is bipedal. Then you see that he carries a fucking drum set, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Well,
Like,
he's a punk drummer from the 70s, 80s in Britain.
yeah.
And then Score Bunny's final evolution is literally a football player, or soccer player for you Americans.
We know what football is, Jamie. You didn't have to throw that shade.
I will always throw shade that you have to bloody call your own sport American football.
Yeah, that's,
We know the difference by this point. Okay. We like football here too now. I almost went to a game when I was in Chicago. We like it here too now, alright? Then, hey, I'll say this. When I was in Europe, a surprising amount of Europeans actually did like American football. I was very
no,
shocked.
it's really grown in here.
Yeah.
We also just call it American football
Oh,
or
yeah.
American rugby, because it's very similar to rugby.
Well, especially because they started playing games over near y'all.
Oh yeah, there's a team in my hometown
Really?
for
I didn't know
American
that.
football. Yeah, it really has grown into just like a more tough version of rugby.
Yeah.
And over here, it's actually really nice to see because I like seeing certain parts of like American and Eastern culture actually really implementing in Scotland because we're
Yeah.
becoming Scotland. Obviously, we're getting off topic from the Pokemon
Yeah,
here,
you're
but
good.
Scotland's
Yeah.
always been
We've been
diverse.
off topic this whole podcast.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Scotland's really becoming accepting more diversity recently, and it's just showing in the sports, the food that's really entering the country now,
Yeah.
and it's just like great to see. But no, it's like I love how much culture is in Galar with the Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
It's dude. I think what really cements it being good is, for me, a great Pokemon design is like either has massive internet hype or the design does something that pisses people off, but the design is so good no one cares. I remember before Sword and Shield, everybody was like, the pseudo legendary better not be a fucking dragon. Everybody was getting so mad at the thought of another dragon pseudo. Then you see Dragon Pull, and you're like, don't care.
He shoots his babies out of his head. Awesome.
Oh my god, it's so fucking. You know what's funny? For the fact that it's like the game is based on countries where firearms are mostly illegal, it is the most gun-heavy Pokemon game.
It really is a bit worrying.
Inteleon literally has a gun in his Gigantamax form.
He's part of the military. He's fine.
It just blows my. I remember when the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra trailer dropped, and we saw Inteleon's G-Max form and the gun, and I'm just like, holy shit, they put this in a game. Like,
you evolved from James Bond into James Bourne.
Yeah, in my mind, I was just like, we can't have a casino anymore because it's inappropriate for children. But this...
Did you know that was actually banned in Europe first, actually?
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, it was banned right after Diamond. So in Heart Gold Soul Silver, we had a tabletop card section.
Yeah.
And it called Voltorb something. It's actually really fun. I actually enjoyed it more than Casino.
Oh,
but it was so funny how that happened. And then in Platinum, casinos were just gone.
Yep. It was very weird transition. It's so
And
weird.
obviously in Europe, we are like, you see the change.
It's a big cultural...
All of you just lost it.
Yeah, it's a big cultural thing, because like in Japan, a lot of the pachinko machines are just in regular arcades. So to them, that's not weird for kids to be near gambling machines. Like, I mean, it's a weird topic in general.
Yeah. I think there's a whole topic for a whole other video.
Yeah.
Or podcast.
But they gave him a fucking gun.
Yeah.
Like, that DLC did a lot of weird shit. We got the first ever Pokemon that basically is the Pokemon trainer of another Pokemon.
Yeah.
With Calyrex and his horses. Like, I remember playing through the DLC, I'm like, this motherfucker is a Pokemon. He might as well have
another Pokemon.
He might as well have him in a ball.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? It was really weird. I hope the DLC for Scarlet and Violet is just as good. Like, just in general, I want the story to do really weird shit, especially with, like... Because, like, I know it's one... So, before the leak came out where there was just one region name, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I think originally I thought the reason why it was taking so long for another trailer and everything is because I really thought it was going to be 2 regions.
Yeah, I was starting to wonder that. I wasn't thinking it properly, but it was sort of, God, if we normally get the second trailer in May. I know we didn't get it last time in May, but that was also because we had 2 games and one was coming out in January. So like, I guess we're waiting a bit longer. But no, this game's probably coming out in November, so should be getting one about now.
Yeah, this is a weird marketing cycle, and while, like I said in the beginning, I don't necessarily agree with the people who are like, this is Game Freak fault and they're waiting too long for a trailer. I don't agree with that, but I do think with how many questions this game has, they do need to drop significantly more info. Like I'm surprised we've went this long and we haven't even talked about it because this is a huge talking point in the game. We have no clue how the co-op works.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
We haven't added anything from that.
Yeah. And co-op is like a controversial thing right now because it seems like games are getting harder and harder to make co-op work. You see with Halo Infinite, it was the first ever Halo game to not launch with co-op. You see like that big new Xbox game, Redfall, they announced that when you play through that game, only the team leader, like the person who creates the party, only they get progress in the story mode from the co-op section.
Wait, really? Jeez.
Yes.
God.
Which, yeah, that sucks. There's just no
Yeah,
way around
no,
that.
sucks.
So-
But that was the same thing for Halo 5, actually.
Oh,
You
it
had
wa-
to progress. You didn't, if you joined a level that was higher than your place in the story, you didn't get any of that progress.
That's insane to me. So
But I
I'm-
remember doing that at launch.
and that's what I'm like, because everybody brought up a good point. Like, does the way like the co-op work is like, oh, you're with your friends, you're all just on the same map, and it's just like you can go wherever the fuck you want, and you'll get like notification. Like, I wonder because every game has kind of had like their own version of a cell phone. Are you gonna get like notifications on the bottom of the screen where it's like, Jamie just beat this gym leader, Tom just killed his rival? Like, what is like the thing that's gonna be like? I'm very confused by it. Like, I'm glad they're doing it. This is like something. It's crazy that this has never been a feature that like we've all. I'm pretty sure both of you, just like me, have seen hundreds of Pokemon prediction videos, theory videos, things we want to see videos, and it's crazy that I've never once seen 4-player co-op be one of those things.
Yeah.
Which is
I
part of
think
the-
a big part. You go first, Tom.
it's a shock mostly because Pokemon's whole thing is trading with other trainers, playing with your friends, collecting all the Pokemon. Like, you would think that would be a bit higher on people's priorities, but no.
Well, I think I actually have the reason for that. Because going back to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they had co-op, and that was one of the first things revealed with the game.
Oh,
people
shit, you're right.
Hated how that was implemented.
Yeah,
Obviously, it was on the same system kind of implementation.
and
But I think that turned off so many people that the Game Freak was like, we're going to back off this for a while. And everybody was like, yeah, that's fine.
to add to your point, look, no matter how much anybody loves Nintendo, one thing everybody can agree on, when it comes to online stuff, they are one of the worst companies.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably a lot, like, because this is going to be a huge game. I am very nervous of how those servers are going to handle for that co-op stuff. Like, I think after, like, a couple months, it'll be perfectly fine. Like, raids were a little rough in the beginning of Sword and Shield, but then after that, they were, like, never had an issue. But how is it going to go for the rest of the games and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah.
and, like, how does it work for the store? Like, what do you do to get... Because, Jamie, I remember you were pretty down on it at first.
Yeah, I was in a bad mood that day, and I was pretty down on that.
And I remember messaging you and commenting on it too. I don't think you were wrong for that. I mean, I get it. Like, look, I don't like the negativity that multiplayer gets, but I get it. It's not for, like, you know, I will always argue that the EA tweet controversy was stupid because if that tweet said multiplayer, nobody would have cared. But that's neither here nor there.
No, that's not here. No, I'm going to carry on my point because you're totally right. But I think the way it's going to work is the same way that it worked in Sword and Shield with the wild area, Isle of Armor, Town Tundra. We had they were there. We could interact with them somewhat, and you got notifications on like the PSS screen or whatever it was called. I think we're going to get a updated version of that
Yeah.
and actually be able to talk to people.
Well, I
And
also
as
wonder too. There's that racing gimmick that Riddler Coup has been teasing, and I wonder if the co-op is to implement that as well.
that might be something, but that's if Riddler Crew's actually right on this. We haven't heard of anything from the new leaker about this new mechanic yet.
That
So,
one
I
I
think
see.
until-
I agree with you. I think that's a good way to look at it. I do think that one will be true though, just because it makes
It's
sense.
so out there
Yeah.
as well.
The fucking legendaries might as well be just Vehicle Mon
Yeah.
and Vehicle Mon 2. So I could see like a racing gimmick. And like we talked about earlier, they have to fill up the open world. They have to give us stuff to do. Racing gimmicks and stuff is like that will become a series on its own for somebody's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. It'll be the next raids and all of
Yes.
that.
Yes. I just want to know if it's like, if you team up with your friends, can the gyms become double battles? Like it's just really confusing to think about. Like, cause
Yeah, I have a feeling it won't go that far. I do think it will just be an updated version of what we had in the wild area.
yeah, they pretty
It just
much
makes the most sense.
they pretty much kind of tease that one of the main things is there's no more weird matchmaking anymore with your friends. It's more of, I click on your character, Jamie, that initiates a battle, and you accept or decline.
Yeah. I mean, we started seeing that during Sword and Shield and during the
Yeah.
wild area. It was becoming a lot easier just to initiate battles. I really think what we're seeing in Scarlet and Violet is just the final evolution of everything that they've been building since the wild area.
Yeah, Sword and
Wild
Shield
area
was
introduced the first open area, then the DLC was that plus more. Then we got Legends Arceus, much larger areas,
yeah,
and now we're getting the first proper open world.
it's,
That feels like the natural evolution. I think we're seeing the evolution of co-op in the same way.
it's gonna bother people hearing this, but like Sword and Shield, even though Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was the test game for the Switch, Sword and Shield was another test game. Like
It was
you
a
said-
true test game.
Yeah, because like you said, it feels like Scarlet and Violet is just taking so many ideas from Sword and Shield and then Legends and advancing on them. I think the only thing that isn't going to feel brand new is the battle system. But because of the way the new gimmick works, that makes... I feel like that is going to change battles enough on its own. Because now, when you go into the grass gym leader, you're not safe just being like, oh, I'm just going to pack 4 fire Pokemon with me and it's an easy day. Like, that has actually changed the way the battles are going to work and everything.
It's going to make things a lot more interesting, especially if they carry on with what Ilka did with Elite Four and Champion and what they did with Volo. It'll definitely... I think we're finally seeing that evolution of Game Freak going, we understand you want more of challenges, especially later on.
Yeah.
Let's add these really interesting mechanics that do make it harder for you without being overwhelmingly challenging.
Yeah, I mean, plus too, we're going back to certain stuff that usually are staples of game. It's weird because I've noticed there's a trend where like Pokemon will kind of like skip it every once in a while, but like I don't know if you guys saw, they said that in the game there's like 4 sub-legendaries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
We're returning back to that Gen 5. It really feels like a return to Gen 5 a bit.
I like how you knew where I was going with this. Because like Sword and Shield and Gen 6 and like Pokemon X and Y, those are like the 2 games that kind of skipped having a bunch of legendaries in the base game. Like obviously they added it later on for Sword and Shield with DLC, but like you look at like Sun and Moon, the gen prior, at launch you had the covered legendaries, 3 of them, Then you had fucking
A trio.
You had the Tapus for 4 of them, and then the Ultra Beasts. I know people don't count the Ultra Beasts as legendaries. Hell, Pokemon doesn't count them as legendaries. But like, I'm not treating an Ultra Beast like a fucking pseudo.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so,
Ultra Beasts are Ultra Beasts, but they're another subsection of Legendary. I think we just have to admit that now.
yeah.
If Joe Merrick Derby has said they are, they are.
Yeah. So I like that they're going back to that because so let me ask you guys on this debate that the community always has had about legendaries. Do you feel there are too many legendaries, or do you like that we just get a bunch more?
I think we have a good amount of legendaries. Don't add too many per region. I feel like I love Gen 4, but they went ham on legendaries.
Never go back to Gen 4 levels, but I think Gen 5 levels are a really good amount. Like how the amount, especially with the story behind all of the Gen 5 ones. And I think that's a big thing. You can have lots of legends as long as you've got the story and lore behind them in the game. Not like Mystery Gift with Gen 6, 7, and 8. They need to have that story behind them in the game. Because that was so good about BDSP. Returning to getting Shaman and Darkrai in game.
Yeah. And I'm hoping
good.
I'm hoping Legend like Scarlet and Violet does it because Legends is practically a main series game, and Darkrai, Shaman, Fione, you got all of them through. You just, and this is the thing Game Freak has to understand too. If you just want to gift us the Pokemon, like that's fine, but at least make getting to the gift like a thing. Like, all right, let's say you just want to gift me the newest mythical. Make it to where I do like a 1-hour story quest, and I have to like beat this badass trainer, and then Darkrai just hops in my ball, like some shit like that. Like that's fine. If their whole thing is like, well, we just don't want to make you suffer a great battle for it, that's cool. But just at least like just let a story thing happen. You know what I mean? Like
I totally agree.
I will say one of the best ones they've done in recent history was the one for Zeraora, where they had people across the world had to continuously battle until 1 million people got it, and then
that was really fucking good. Awesome.
It was so good.
That was and what I liked about that one, because they give you a shiny one, right?
Yup, shiny level 100.
Yep. That is they need to do. Pokemon always wants to do these giveaways of regular ass Pokemon. What they need to start doing is doing giveaways of shinies.
Yes.
Because like every time they do like these tournament codes where anybody can download this Pokemon that has the stats and whatever from this tournament, I'm just like, I have a Grimmsnarl, dude. I don't need another one. But if you do like a shiny, that's a huge deal. Because like, are either of you shiny hunters?
I've tried to get into shiny hunting, but it's really hard to really get right into it when you've got so much else on. Because that's something you have to dedicate so much time to.
Yeah, it's like with Legends Arceus, don't get me wrong, Legends Arceus is the best shiny hunting game. I do think people overhype how good it is, because if you have like a casual shiny hunter like me, when I was hearing how easy it is to shiny hunt in it, I'm assuming that I can get a shiny within 2 hours. That is still not the case.
I mean, it's definitely a lot easier, and I got my first shiny in like an hour.
I'm not denying that, but I'm lazy. In my mind, if I give 30% effort, I should get a shiny like every 45 minutes. And I don't know. Like, I can never get into shiny hunting like that. It's like you said, Jamie, the amount of effort that it takes.
Yeah.
It really is a lot.
But
I accidentally found a shiny in Legends Arceus.
I think a lot of people. I got 3 in my first playthrough.
Yeah, I've got quite a few in. I mean, I haven't restarted Legends Arceus, and I got 1 in the main bit, and then the minute I beat Volo, I just started getting so many more.
Yeah, like And you know what? They should make a shiny quest a permanent thing in every Pokemon game.
Yes.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, they're never getting rid of tutorials for this stuff. As much as people want to keep demanding it, it's like, to me, it's one of those things that you're demanding that you should just stop expecting to ever happen. So with
I think Gen 8 had a good balance with the tutorials as well.
yeah,
Like, you skip through so many tutorials in the start of Sword and Shield just by doing the right things,
yeah.
using the right type. Oh, you already knew about type advantages? Catch a Pokemon before the tutorial. Oh, you already know how to catch. That's great.
And then, like, any of the mandatory tutorials they're going to keep in it, I think that's where you do, like, your shiny quest. Like, instead of doing your usual tutorial, just do a catching tutorial where you catch a shiny, and you don't have, like, you're not going to give it up to your rival. It's just like, hey, you caught that shiny, that's yours now. Like, and you know what I would really like, too, for that? Randomize the Pokemon that you catch. Like, I think that would be really cool if whatever shiny quest you do in the game, it just randomizes what it is.
Oh, okay.
Like have Game Freak pick out of like 10 Pokemon, and then it's just whatever one of the, like, just depending on what time you started your playthrough, that determines what shiny in that side quest is going to be. Because I think that's what would make it easy. And another thing from Legends Arceus, since we were talking about like things that take up too much effort, I think we can all agree this needs to be in Scarlet and Violet. The new way to do EVs and IVs.
I've actually never done EVs and IVs.
In Legends Arceus, they made it so easy.
That is the one time I have tried to do it.
They need to keep that up, because I am not doing super training, bottle capping, all that stuff. They have finally made it to where it's super easy to do. Jamie, did you dabble in the system in Legends Arceus at all? Did we lose Jamie?
Might have. Oh,
Sorry,
there.
I muted myself. I had to quickly go and do something. Forgot to unmute myself.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, did you?
I did do a bit of the new training. It was so much easier than the old version.
So much better.
It still can do with a bit of work.
Yeah.
But I understood it so much quicker and was finding it easier to get through certain bits of it.
Yeah, it's
So-
way better. I mean, like I think the only pain point to it was the storage you had in Legends Arceus, which I'll say this, I know, get rid of the storage limitations in future Legends games, Scarlet and Violet. I'm sorry, I hated it in Legends. Paying that fucking guy, like, I hated it. It didn't make sense to me.
No, that sucks so much.
Yeah.
And not only just storage in like the bag wise, box storage on Legends Arceus is horrendous.
Yes.
For people who want like a full Legends Arceus living dex, it is literally impossible. Because you can't have all like the gender forms, the alphas, and all of that. Because there's just not enough space with the 32 boxes they give you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And speaking of alphas, because I kind of tie them in together. So we've seen with with Sword and Shield, we had raid Pokemon. Legends had alphas. Do you guys think we're gonna get anything like that in Scarlet and Violet, like a sort of like boss Pokemon thing?
I would like it, but the fact it's been 3 games in a row, Totems in Gen 7, and then Dynamax and Alpha Pokemon in Gen 8, it feels like maybe they should shift away from that this time. Return that in a future game, but leave it for the moment.
See, the only thing is doing like a raid or a boss Pokemon or something. That's such a good use of the co-op. And then, because I really thought raids would have came back this generation. I really thought it was going to, because it extended the life cycle of Sword and Shield for so long. And I do think it is something people did enjoy doing together. I think, Jamie, you have really valid points that they kind of have been doing it for 3 games in a way, so I could see them wanting a break from it. Just, I don't know. There is something really cool about, here's a big-ass Pokemon and we need to fight it.
I'm sure they'll find some way of implementing something that can bring the co-op together without it be feeling repetitive.
Yeah. Because I just think people like the idea of, like, a boss battle. Like, obviously trainers are boss battles depending on which ones and stuff, but, like, there's something about, like, Pokemon giant health bar type thing. Like, that was so cool. But I mean, we still don't even know how catching and battling really is going to work in this game.
Yeah, we haven't actually seen any of that. We've just saw that very brief glimpse when we first saw Lechonk.
Yeah,
that was it.
I hope to God they bring back, you can just catch a Pokemon without battling.
Yes.
That
I want to be able to do that.
That will be a major... Like, Tom, are you hoping they bring that back?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it's just like... For me, it's just like... The way I play the games is I catch... I will catch every Pokemon in that area that's easy to catch. I'm not going to... Like, anything with a 10% encounter rate, I'm not doing that. Everything else, I am that. It would be nice that instead of having to go into a battle with all of them, I can just swoop, and just do that. It's
oh yeah, big agree. Especially seeing how it's very much the same style and all of that as Legends Arceus. There's no reason they shouldn't. It's not like Sword and Shield where we were still very top down, and I can understand why they didn't have that in. Yeah, it's so similar, that in art style and all of that there's no reason they shouldn't have it.
Yeah, like, because there's so, like, especially, there is a chance that it's still in there, because I know recently came out that the leaker said that you can catch Pokemon while you're riding on the legendaries. Now, to be fair with that, technically you could catch Pokemon while you were riding in Sun and Moon and it went into a battle. Because remember, you would just wear the riding gear for that.
Yeah.
But I cannot see them doing that again.
Not after Basque Legion and all of that and how we did.
Yeah, I have
to... Basque Legion was the perfect example of how to do ride Pokemon catching. And I'm annoyed they didn't have that for the other ride Pokemon.
Yeah, I didn't like that they didn't have it for Braviary because...
Yeah, Braviary and Weirdeer, that needed the same catching mechanic.
Because with Braviary, it would have made catching Mr. Mime so much easier in Legends.
Oh god, yeah. An Abra.
Yes, because then you could have just sniped them from the sky with a Sky Ball. But no, you just had to hope it... Oh my god. Abra was one of the last Pokemon I caught.
I got lucky that I caught one like the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
So I got really lucky. But Togetic was one of the most annoying ones because it was always flying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to the point where I just evolved Togepi once I found like a bunch of them.
A lot of the flying Pokemon were a pain in the ass to get. For me, the hardest category, and I think they need to improve this in future Legends games. I think a lot of the water Pokemon were a pain in the ass to catch too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remoraid and Basculin were horrible.
Oh, Basculin was the worst. Because it would run away from you so quickly.
Yeah.
Like,
and yet we all wanted Basculegion.
Yes. Because it's the fucking best fish Pokemon. It's so hardcore. Like, who comes up with these Pokedex entries? Dear
Honestly, the Pokedex entries are almost always amazing.
Yeah, they've improved the Pokedex entries so much in Gen 8, and I can't wait to see what they do with the next ones. I'm looking forward to seeing the Chonk and its evolutions entries,
Yeah.
because I have a feeling they're going to be dark. Seeing how
Why-
cute the Chonk is.
I really am into the idea that it has split gender evolution.
Yeah,
Really
I'm really
love-
hoping for that.
Yeah, really loving that idea. And then, I mean, it's going to be interesting because it does seem like this game is finally going to give us. They do this every game, it feels like, where they finally give us something towards something we've been waiting for, like design-wise for Pokemon. Like, we're finally supposed to get a dolphin Pokemon in this one.
Yes!
Oh, wait, really? Wow.
Yeah.
But there is a downside. It's like a goddamn monkey's paw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because here's the thing. Like, wasn't the big thing why they wouldn't add one because of the, like, how dolphin hunting is still a big thing in Japan?
Oh, I never
Yeah.
knew about that.
Yeah, Japan.
Like, I heard,
dolphins.
No.
Yeah,
I
they
heard
still have
about
a hunt.
I knew about the dolphin hunting. I didn't know that's why they never added one.
yeah, no, it's because it's so big there that they don't want to draw controversy from other nations about why you've got this in here when you still do that. Because we know that happened with some of the Pokemon they've added in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the leaker said there's a dolphin Pokemon, and Riddler Coup confirmed it.
I'm so glad we're actually getting a dolphin. But
Yeah.
They did say it's gonna be humanoid though, kind of like a Neospatian Aqua Dolphin. in
Hey, if it
Yu-Gi-Oh.
looks like that fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card, I'm still excited.
yeah,
I'm
still
so-
better than nothing.
Hey, that Yu-Gi-Oh card has a nice design for a dolphin, man. I will take that. Dunsparce is supposed to be getting an evolution.
Oh,
I literally, it could look like a pile of shit, and I'll be happy. It's
Dunsparce getting an evolution. That's
Yeah.
what matters.
Yeah. 'Cause-
And Tauros is getting an alternate form as well,
yeah, like
which
because
is a lot overdue.
the thing with Dunsparce is no matter what they design, everything in our head is already better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been wanting this for too long. They got lucky with Surfetch. They got lucky with Surfetch.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because none of us could imagine what a far-fetched evolution would look like.
We just wanted
So-
one, but we, like you said, we didn't know what we wanted. And then Surfetch came out, and everybody was like, "This is it. This is what we wanted." Because I really like Surfetch.
Yeah. The
Like,
evolution is horrendous, but I love him.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, getting it to evolve is like never again. Look, I know people like the variety and evolution methods. I have found myself mostly hating all of them.
I actually started especially in Gen 8, I loved the Pokemon, but I hated the way you involved so many of them that I actually started missing the amount of trade evolutions that were in Gen 4. And that's something I never thought I would say.
Hey, they fixed trade evolutions, and this better be in fucking Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, God.
Just bring the link cable over.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Pokemon Company and Game Freak. I know you want us to fucking connect and put our cords together and shit, but no. Just no. I've never had a Gengar or Alakazam on one of my teams because I've never done a trade. The problem for me with trading isn't even the inconvenience of it. We talked about it earlier with the attachment to your Pokemon. There's just something not righted to me about, let me trade you this Pokemon and then you traded me. Like, Jamie, the Electabuzz, you traded me back. I didn't like it afterwards.
Really?
It's something it's like, oh, well, Jamie, it evolved on Jamie's screen. It didn't
Yeah,
evolve
all right,
on
yeah.
It doesn't evolve
I should have pressed B so that doesn't happen, because that's what I normally do. I don't let the Pokemon evolve until I'm trading it back.
Yeah.
So it's like, I need to see that evolution
No,
myself.
I don't blame you, because I didn't even think of that. It just,
Yeah.
But even then, like, even if you had traded it back to me without that, it still would have bothered me that, like, oh, technically this Pokemon was owned by another trade. Like, it's a weird concept.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, because when I eventually evolved my Electabuzz right before I did the champion and DSP, I trade with Austin or the Beeve,
Yeah.
and he was trading me his Onyx, and it did feel weird having that Electrive afterwards. So I was like, well, he's had it, and I've had his Onyx or Steelix. It just feels a bit awkward. Didn't
Yeah.
feel like my team was the same, despite the fact that every other member was the exact same.
Yeah, there's just something not right about it. There just really is. Like, I don't like. How do? What about you, Tom? Are you all for the trades? Are
Yes. Uh, bring back the link cable, because this actually happened to me in Pokemon Go specifically. One of my friends needed trade evolution, so he sent me the Pokemon that needed to evolve. I sent him just a random Pokemon. But then we got the 2% chance for them to become lucky and could not trade them back.
Oh no!
Oh, that sucks.
I am all for the link cables, because don't forget, there unfortunately are assholes who will be like, oh yeah, let's trade to help finish your Pokedex, and then just dip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, nah,
And
I'll
look,
take...
if Pokemon started doing what, like, you know, Sony and Xbox does, where they like actually track completion rates of like things in games, I guarantee you the Pokedex completion rate per game is like barely 10% per game.
Oh
yeah.
god, yeah.
I've been playing these games since they existed. People do that. Yeah, Logan, you'd be surprised. There are people that actually do finish the decks. I did it for the first time with Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I did it for the first time with
I
Sword and
think-
Shield too, because it was
Yeah.
the first time it was manageable.
Yeah,
I think
that
they
that
meant,
is the one benefit of the decks being cut. And I'm sorry, I know that's gonna make some people upset, but I actually do think that is a benefit. Like you said, Jay, it makes it manageable. I'm
Yeah.
not catching 800 fucking
No.
Pokemon.
You're like,
yeah.
I'm now tackling a living dex, but I only feel like I can now do that because I had Sword and Shield with that dex cut. So I was able to do the manageable 400. I did that with Legends and Arceus. It was a manageable number. I actually look forward to seeing the dex cuts. I know people are always going to be upset. Their favorites never get cut. I don't actually have to worry about that. My favorite's Jolteon. If Eevee's not in a new game somehow, something's gone wrong.
I mean, to back up your point, as someone who's had favorites of theirs cut, I typically didn't give a shit just because when the new games come out, I really only want to use the new Pokemon.
Oh yeah, same.
So,
I won't use any of my old ones
I'm
until
not gonna knock
after
out,
the league.
Yeah, I'm not gonna knock out anybody plays, but I would be lying if whenever somebody tells me like, oh, they're only using like 2 of the new Pokemon on the game, I am kind of in my head like, so why'd you even get the new game? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I get disappointed when one of my favorite Pokemon is Infernape, so obviously a starter is not going to be in the new games. But I remember, like a couple days ago when the leak came out that Joltik wasn't going to be in the game. Alex was fucking devastated.
Yeah, I know it does hit like
Yeah.
certain people. I meant trade and run. Yeah, Logan. There's actually it's very notorious in the Pokemon community of people trading Pokemon and then not giving them back. That's
Yeah.
actually
And
content.
a lot of them are children too as well.
Yeah.
They're
Kids.
dickheads.
I do know like one that isn't in a bad way. Pokemon content creators will like prank each other with that and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but that's fine. They're Pokemon content creators.
Yeah.
They're all friends, really, apart from a few of them.
Yeah.
So they're just doing it for a laugh.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, there is that's the big problem with trades is you have a, oh my god, the Pokemon fandom is wild. You have no clue.
Yeah.
You have
The
no,
reason we've claimed the most toxic fandom in video games like 10 years in a row.
Yeah, I'm the most unlucky bastard where like 3 of my favorite things in this world, Pokemon, pro wrestling, and comic books, and all of them are the most awful fandoms to take part in.
Yeah. Star
There's-
Wars, Pokemon, comics.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Star Wars is the top, personally, most toxic
Oh,
thing
it is,
I've
yeah.
ever been a
Yeah.
part of.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, like, I don't like. What was the last thing we were talking about? The decks. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
mean, the other thing too is I think it also, like, I'm not justifying the deck stuff because I understand why people are mad at it. I do think it actually does give DLC a bit more purpose though now, because
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just I don't know. Also too like as someone who's learned more about video games, I also get it that fucking like animating and designing 1,000 Pokemon every time you make a game, that's really difficult. It's easy for us to be like, oh well, they should just do it, and it's like they can't delay the games. That's not an option. That's just not. That's something people have to accept. Like, and just look at Legends Arceus. Everybody loves the animations and all that stuff in that game, and it's only happened because there's like 300 Pokemon in it.
Yeah. We only got it because they cut down on the Pokemon and the moves.
Yep. Like
And
that.
they improved the moves they kept in.
Oh my
so
god,
much.
Flamethrower has never looked cooler.
I remember when we saw that leak for the
Horrifying.
first time. It was so good.
Yep. Like it was insane, and we're not gonna get that. I think so. This is like my real big Pokemon conspiracy, and it also ties in from the idea of having a game with every region in it. I think the only time we're gonna get a game again where every single Pokemon's game, and I do think this will happen is when we finally get a giant Pokemon MMO officially from Game Freak. I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I love how many Pokemon we have, but if they keep with the smaller amounts and just keep like doing little things to improve those animations, I would much rather that. Like give each
I
each
agree.
Pokemon has its own little
Yeah.
quirks.
Big time.
I think this is what you do. You always do at least 90 to 100 brand new Pokemon. Do 10 to 15 regional forms. Because I don't know about you guys, I count regional forms as a new Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They basically are now.
Yeah.
During
Like-
Gen 7, it can be argued or not, but as soon as they started introducing evolutions, they're the new Pokemon.
I agree. And even the Gen 7s, like to me, regular Ninetales is dead. There's only a low in Ninetales. Like, that's like new forms are just the regional forms. It's like those are new Pokemon to me. So like I count those. So that's like 120 new Pokemon, and then you supplement the rest of the decks with old Pokemon. I think it keeps the animation tight and everything. Like I think that's the right way to do it. Because I think the MMO is the only way, and I think it's coming. There's no way Pokemon isn't going to dabble in like a live service format. And the crazy thing is the Pokemon fandom wants it. That's what everybody wants Pokemon Stadium to be.
The fact that Smogon is like one of the most popular things in the Pokemon fandom, and the Pokemon company hasn't looked at it and gone, don't we have a farmer game series like Pokemon Stadium, which has been so popular, which would be perfect for this kind of format?
Centro Leaks had that idea, and I think it's a fucking good one, where it's like
It is.
just put all the competitive shit in Stadium, and then you can update it. You can, like, I've seen people be like, "Well, what would you monetize in it?" Fuck, they're doing it in Unite. You just monetize the outfits. That's it. This is the thing, and
You monetize the customization.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm surprised that cosmetics are still something people get upset about as like monetizations and stuff like that in games. Because here's my thing: this shit is never going away in video games. Where we can't, the genie can't go back in the bottle. I'd rather it be cosmetics.
Yeah. As long as it stays cosmetics and not like play to win, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It can stay around. That's why Overwatch was actually so successful with its loot boxes and such. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
never paid to win.
Actually,
It was always cosmetics.
Overwatch's loot box were so successful that people are now hesitant that they're going away in Overwatch 2. Like, that's how crazy that is. Because my thing is, like, look, I know not a ton of people love this game. I'm one of the few people. But, like, Marvel's Avengers, regardless of how people feel about it, I think the game deserves admirable kudos for the fact that characters, story, DLC, all that's free, and the only thing you pay is cosmetics. Are the cosmetics overpriced at times? Yes. But hey, when you buy a costume, you know just from looking at it if that is worth the value for you. The problem when you make like characters, story, all that stuff, DLC that you pay for, is you don't know until you experience if it's worth the price of admission. My example I always use for this is, and I love the base game, but I hated the DLC of Spider-Man on PS4, and I don't think that was worth my money. Like,
That's very fair.
That's
Honestly,
very valid, yeah.
the better use of the money would have been going into Miles Morales, because that game is fucking amazing.
Yes.
I agree. Although, like, not to get too off topic, I kind of like the idea, though, of Miles' series of games being like a $50, you know, what the size of it was series. Just because, not because Miles deserves less and he doesn't deserve a game as big as Peter, nothing like that. But it is kind of nice in this day and age we live in where games are really fucking pricey to get like a AAA super huge quality game that's only $50. Like, yes, is the drawback that you can beat it in like a day? Yeah, but I also like the fact that there's a game with a big budget that I can beat in a day because I'm sorry, Assassin's Creed, I don't want to play for 150 hours.
Yeah.
It's replayable.
And yeah, it's replayable, and not only that, it's compact enough that there's not enough in it that there can be too many flaws like there was in Spider-Man PS4 before Miles Morales. They condensed it enough that the flaws from before weren't in it anymore.
And I mean, they could also do that with the Wolverine game that Insomniac is making. Make that one really big, really whatever price, and then have a $50 one about Laura as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or Dakin.
And
Yep. The only thing
it would make sense too.
Yeah, especially because that Wolverine game. I hope it's linear. I don't give a shit. Do not.
Yeah,
make
I
it
want
open.
it linear.
Yeah, do not make it open world. Do not make it open world. I will lose my mind.
I mean, as long as it's a solo player and it's linear,
well, it's gonna be
that'll be
solo
perfect for me.
because it's gonna be solo because it's Insomniac. But it's just like, and don't get me wrong, if it comes out and it's open world and it's great, I'm gonna shut the fuck up and still play it. But like, I mean,
it's Insomniac. They've done pretty well for themselves.
The open world is just going through the fucking tundra of Canada, fighting moose.
I will pull a Wolverine and stab myself. I know. Because can you imagine how boring it is going to be just jogging? Like, and I do not want to drive around. I hate driving in every game. Like, yeah.
Also, Logan driving anything but a motorcycle just feels weird.
Nova will be happy, Logan, because that is Mr. Canada himself, Nova. Yeah, like, back to, we got real way off topic of Pokemon. But yeah, like, just...
Isn't Wolverine in the next Pokemon?
He might as well be a Pokemon, let's be honest. Fucking...
We haven't had a Wolverine Pokemon Zod.
I'm pretty sure in one of the comics, Weapon X did pull him in a ball. So, like... yeah, like, I'm pretty sure that happened. Like, but yeah, like, the Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon spin-off games is another, like, whole discussion we could do, because that entire it took 20 years for Pokemon Snap to come back. I did not think
we really need to talk about the fall and rise in another podcast of the spin-off games.
Well, can we even say that they're a fall, or is it just like they
I
stopped
would say there
doing...
was a fall because they did stop. They stopped for
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, because
Yeah.
to me, if implying a fall means like they started doing bad, I would say it's the
Yeah, no.
rise and they just stop because it's just like
the rise, the halt,
yeah,
the
like,
return.
because they just woke up one day and were like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. But it's fucking weird because they're successful.
Yeah, the Mystery Dungeon and Ranger games, like some of the most popular games in the franchise. And
Pokken Tekken was really good. Like,
yeah,
The Mystery Dungeon remake was also really good. They need to continue.
oh god, yeah.
doing stuff like
I
that.
need an Explorer of Sky remake now.
yeah. Like, it's really weird. And it's like, not only is it weird, it's weird that we also just haven't gotten new, like, spin-offs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, that's
The fact that the most recent one was new Pokemon Snap, what, over a year ago now?
Oh, that was good.
Oh, yeah. But, like, I'm also saying, like, it's weird we haven't gotten, like, besides Unite, like, new spin-off idea. Like,
Yeah.
like we said, the Muso game earlier, fucking, like, I'm surprised they haven't brought back Pokemon Conquest.
That's another one. That was, what, 10 years ago now?
Yeah,
They'll
and
know.
that is an expensive
Recall.
game to track down.
I'm so annoyed at Soul Mines, because in Britain it is now £140. When I sold it, I only got £20 back.
Whew. Yeah, those are expensive. That is an expensive game to get. Like, it's shocking we don't have like a actual Pokemon. I mean, I know the main games are JRPGs, but like, I mean more in like.
Yeah, a proper JRPG.
Yes, like that.
I'm surprised we haven't got another not Colosseum, like Gales of Darkness and Colosseum.
Yeah.
Colosseum and
Well,
Gales of
I
Darkness.
mean, I'm surprised.
Those two are so popular,
Yeah,
yet we've not got a remake or a sequel. It's like, what?
I mean, how long before we get like a straight up AAA open world just action Pokemon game? Because I think you could just the Mystery Dungeon games, you just have the Pokemon talk and shit. You play a fucking Pikachu and you just fight other, like, it's just a story driven game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's really weird to think about. But with that, we have gone almost 3 hours.
God damn.
Oh,
Yeah. I knew this was going to go long. That's why I did it this early. Because I knew there was no way it was going to be just like an hour and a half.
thank God we didn't do this 2 hours later, like we were going to originally do this, because that would have been 12 p.m. in British time that would have started.
Yeah.
And God, we'd have been here until 3 in the morning for me.
Yep. So with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Jamie, Tom, thank you both so much. This was so much fun. I was looking forward to this. I'm glad we did this. You guys are the best.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing this again. I don't know how often, stuff like that. We're all three pretty busy dudes, but we'll figure it out. Thank you for anybody tuning in. I'm gonna make this available later. Love you all. Have a good night. Stay safe. Bye-bye. And all right. Well, thank you, fellas. Seriously, it means
Thanks
a
for
lot.
having us, Chris. Man, that was great.
I know, because... oh, dude, you're good. It only was like an issue for like 20 seconds. Yeah, you're perfectly fine. Well, I agree with you, Jamie, because, like, you could, like... I feel bad, and I feel like I seem, like, distant on Twitter. The only reason why is I hate responding through comments and messages and stuff. Yeah, yeah, and even like messaging people directly. Obviously, y'all are more than welcome to DM me. I love when you guys message me, but it also is a thing. It's just not the same as an actual conversation and stuff like that. Like, it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah. All right. with that, my bladder's about to explode. I'll talk to you guys another day. You guys take it easy. Hopefully, we'll get a trailer soon and we can geek out over that, alright? Alright, take it easy, fellas. Have a good one. Yeah, bye-bye.